Hey everybody, it's Aldo Gandhi, and I just want to let you know really quickly that our swag shop is reopened. DeepDishTees.com is where you go, and that's tees with T-E-E-S. Clever name, guys. They're the new home of our merchandise. You can get t-shirts, you can get caps, you can get coffee mugs, you can get hoodies, you can get all sorts of good stuff, and you'll help out the bar room with the purchase. So head over to DeepDishTees.com.
Some may find the following disturbing. Discretion is advised.
Put the children to bed. It's time for Dan and Aldo to bare their souls.
I love the Chicago Bears more than I do masturbating, and that is a lot.
Then, with 3 seconds left, Bob Avellini throws a 30-something yard touchdown pass to Greg Latta, and the Bears win, and I literally shit my pants. I swear to God, I literally did.
Eric Kramer, for me, I love the guy. He's a tragic figure. I mean, he embodies all that is.
If they don't run the ball here, I'm going to vomit. I swear to God.
Look, I don't mean any disrespect. He just didn't play that well. Not for a guy of his caliber.
You know, they won, but I'm going to be miserable all week because they stunk.
I don't really have any recollection of that at all, but I guess perhaps I blacked it all out.
So Dan, tape is the ultimate tool for scouts and for coaches to evaluate players, to detect plays and so forth. And they spend hours looking at tape, right? Why do they so often get shit wrong?
Ladies and gentlemen, Dan and Aldo.
Oh, my music's not working. None of my equipment is working.
Like the Bears offense tonight.
Oh my goodness. What a great start to the show. I was dancing and now my video's off, my audio's off. But here we are. You can see me, but you can't see Dan, but I've got a lovely picture of Dan Aguirre up on the screen. Dan, how are you, brother?
I am well. I'm going to give you a positive when it's time for me to jump in here. I'm going to give you a positive assessment, my best positive angle of Sunday.
Oh, I can't wait to hear that. And I can't wait to hear Johnny Santucci. He'll be joining us in a little while. John's going to take control of the comments section. So if you've got a comment, make sure you direct it to John Santucci. And if you put an extra $1 in the comment, I don't know how you would do that, but he'll make sure to keep your comment up for a good long time. Dan, this has been an emotional week for me. We had an emotional show last Tuesday. I got my hopes up high that the Bears were potentially going to show the Packers that there was a new sheriff in town.
Buy the jersey, man. I was like, wow, he's all in.
Yep. I was really going to run out and buy a Justin Fields jersey. I was going to try to find the white one that you've been looking for but can't find. I was going to buy it and wear it and rub it in to you. Hey, Dan, lower your gain a little bit. For some reason, it's higher.
I think I raised it when we were just trying to assess the level before the show started. How about now?
Testing. That's better.
Very well.
All right. So I really was going to buy a jersey, and then, we're in this game. I'm not giving up hope. When we scored that second touchdown, I had this feeling that we were going to come back, even though we didn't look that good for a good portion of the game. And then, Aaron Rodgers, he fucking owned us. He owned us. And I hated that feeling on so many different levels. The obvious level, of course, is that, we lost the game. We lost again to Aaron Rodgers. And then the away on the other spectrum is just him rubbing it in the faces of all of us Chicagoans and guys like you, Dan, who already hate Aaron Rodgers with a passion, and people are just dying to hear what it is that you're feeling right now in terms of your feelings towards Aaron Rodgers.
Now I'm going to steal a page from Rodgers' podcast appearance from like 3 years ago.
Okay.
Tell everybody to relax. All right. It's a good thing that Rodgers did this shit on Sunday. Now, to us, to me, to you, to everyone that's interacting with us presently or listening later on or watching later on, all of us fans have taken this shit personally for years. This matters to us. I'm not going to say it matters more than it does to the players, but to us, this is not a business. To us, this is maybe pathetically or what have you, but it's sort of our livelihoods, in a certain sense. I mean, obviously your family means more, your house means more, but you know what I'm saying? This means everything else other than your bills, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to the players in the era of free agency, they switch teams every year. I think it's hard for them to view this as the Packers are not a hated rival. They're just another job. It's another job interview. I mean, Adrian Amos is drafted by the Bears. He runs this fucking shit straight to Wisconsin as soon as they pay him. And maybe I would too. I doubt it, but I'm just saying because I'm an idiot. But my point is, it's hard for them to feel the way it did when Ditka's coach, when you have essentially the same team with the exception of a few players here or there every year. But with Rodgers rubbing this in, two things that come to mind. First off, immediately, maybe this is a good thing in terms of, let me take you back 4 years. Do you remember the game where it was John Fox's last season? It was somewhere around week 10 when it was the Benny Cunningham game when Cunningham gets knocked out at the half-yard line. And challenges it, and they turn the ball over on a touchback to Green Bay. At that exact moment in time, and I'm sure my thought wasn't independent from yours or anyone else's, I just didn't know you yet. It felt like that was the end, the beginning of the end for Fox. Like, he's not going to survive this now. And that's what I thought with Aaron Rodgers' moment the other day, is that this is either the moment where Nagy has a rallying point and turns shit around, or this is the beginning of the end for him. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Now, as a Bear fan, I'm rooting for him to suddenly cut off an 8-game winning streak and to stay, honestly. I don't want him to lose his job because I don't want to lose any more games. But at the end of the season, I think this is going to be a moment because that cut so deeply. Man, George McCaskey cares. Even if you think he's stupid in business, the dude's a fan. I think that turned the heater up, I mean, noticeably hotter on Nagy's seat. But the reason I say also that that's a positive thing is because this allows the players to know that, hey, this is a rivalry. You may not be here but 2 years and you may jump to Green Bay or to another team. But for right now, you got to go play these guys in Wisconsin again in December. And this is what they think of you. He thinks of you as just, he's as condescending to you as anyone could possibly be in this league. He thinks you are shit. He thinks this uniform is shit. And what are you going to do about it? So I'm hoping that the positive part is to say, A, they can use this in a Lovie Smith kind of tactic for motivation, because that put not only the organization on notice, but also the Bears players and coaches. There's no way Nagy doesn't just play that over and over and over. If he doesn't, he's a fool, which we all think he is anyway. So maybe he doesn't. But again, to end my point, I honestly believe that if he doesn't have some kind of drastic turnaround this season, that was the beginning of the end of his tenure.
Chubb says, more importantly, he treated the fans like shit. And Chubb's earlier asked the question or made the statement, there's no fucking way that Aaron Rodgers owns him. And any Bears fan that feels like Aaron Rodgers is owning you. You know, I'm paraphrasing now because I don't have it right in front of me, but you're an idiot. And I'm not taking it literally. He's not my slave owner, but the fact of the matter is when you play sports with someone and you have a 22-5 record, the playground vernacular is I own you. And so from that standpoint, he does.
That was a Michael Jordan kind of moment. Yeah.
And when when I was younger and somebody said something like that to me, I would shove the guy. You know, we're going to throw it down. If you beat the shit out of me and you don't hold respect and you're going to be trash talking in front of my face and so forth, well, then let's see if you can beat my ass, you know, because that's just the way I grew up in a rough neighborhood. And so you had to do that, or if not, you were going to be somebody's bitch. And that ain't going to be me. But the fact of the matter that in athletics, he and the Green Bay Packers owned the Chicago Bears. And what I hated about it is that he was pointing the finger at us Bears fans in the city of Chicago. That's why I'm pissed off at him. And that's why I'm pissed off at the organization. Go ahead, Dan.
I didn't mean, I was just re-echoing your point. It seems like he's always been arrogant. Like, as you know, being here, and I've had so many people like reach out to me because just where I am, I'm sort of like the spokesperson for the Bears, you know, like locally. And everyone, like even my boss here, the operations manager at my station, he sent me an email about something, you know, about work. And then at the end of it, he's like, I guess you really hate Rodgers now, don't you? I'm like, no, I hated him. I honestly, that didn't resonate with me anymore because I always knew that he was a scumbag. Mm-hmm. And his press conference afterwards, when he claimed that he was in some kind of zone and doesn't know what he said, that was such bullshit. If you're going to say that, even if the woman is really giving you the two middle fingers like he claims, then own it, man. Just be like, yeah, I was caught up in the heat of the moment. Don't say you don't recognize what you said. You know what you said. But let me try to give you a positive. I'm going to try to make you happy again.
Thank you.
Check. For real. This is a best case scenario, and maybe it's bullshit, and maybe I'll look back in 3 weeks and say, okay, I clearly was stoned or something, even though I don't smoke, but maybe I should start. I don't know. So perhaps this is, like I said, the rallying point. Now, follow me this. So we all think that maybe Rodgers is gone after this season, right? Mm-hmm. Wouldn't it be so ironic that somehow, let's say they're 5-1, let's just give them the division. They're probably going to win it. They got a 2-game lead on us and a tiebreaker right now, and they're probably going to win the NFC North. Let's say for some reason the Bears get that 6th or 7th seed wild card. They go up there and knock them off in the first round. Wouldn't it be ironic for the guy that says, I own you, I still own you, to get his last moment as a Packer, his last game ever at Lambeau, to be eliminated by the team that he was taunting? And say, who owns you now, you fuck?
Yeah, we need a poetic ending to this whole rivalry, and a lot of people aren't calling it a rivalry anymore. But yeah, but we Bears fans need some justice, some redemption.
Right. We deserve for them to rub our face in shit. Think about this. The Bears had like a 25-game lead in the series when Ditka was fired, and we're down 7 games now.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they've been rubbing their nose and shit for the last 30 years. Mm-hmm. So that's why I was saying last week that, I mean, if I want to cut the shit, last week I didn't want to say what I really thought was that they'll find a way to beat us. I just couldn't say that. Nothing in my fiber will allow me to admit that when it's going into the game, because I never want to just say we don't have a chance. But weird things always happen, and it just always goes their way. Just as an example, without jumping too far in, you remember the play? And again, at the time, I was listening in the car on Sirius because I was traveling to that Slipknot concert, and I watched the game on Monday. But the play earlier in the game that just seemed to kill our momentum when the Packers were clearly offsides. At the very least, they're in the neutral zone or it's encroachment. It's one of those Aaron Rodgers kind of plays. Mm-hmm. So Fields sees it, throws the ball deep. For some reason, A-Rob cuts his route off, but okay, it's a free play. And it turns into an interception. And everyone in the fucking country saw, I think it was Clark, that was offsides, or at least in the neutral zone there, that jumped. Every other quarterback gets that call. But in that exact minute, what happened? There's no flag. Mm-hmm. It's just things like that always happen to the Bears. And I'm not trying to like have a victim complex or It's just we could go through a list of things every year that happen like that, where you're just like, okay, another one. Early in the game, Fields was running. It was in the first half. I don't remember which quarter. And he got on the sidelines, and they had a guy named Garvin slam him. And then not only did he slam him on the sidelines, he brought him back the other way and kind of slammed him again. It was really quick, but he tackled him. The first time wasn't so much nefarious, but he held on and brought him back again. And when I was listening, when that was live, Tom Thayer was just like, oh, just the sound effect. I didn't know what it was until I saw it later. That play gets a guy ejected if they do that to Rodgers. It's just these things never had. They don't throw a flag when it's on field or when it happens to Fields. When they jump off sides, they don't throw that flag. And it's just like, what are you going to do if the league says, well, we blew that call? It doesn't change anything. Mm-hmm. But it changed the momentum in that game and the complexion of the game. And the thing that Nagy just absolutely is piss poor at is making adjustments. Like, think about when the Packers center went down. I'm stealing this statistic from WGN. That's the only post game I listened to. I heard it today, actually. Mm-hmm. But they said when they brought the new center in, they went almost 30 plays before they put a nose tackle right in front of him. Mm-hmm. And conversely, Dan Hampton was saying that, Buddy Ryan immediately first play would have saw that and said, go hit that fucking guy. Make him worry about who he's going to block while he's snapping the ball, which honestly happened to Mustafa a few times. Mm-hmm. So it's just like they don't take advantage of when the secondary gets light, they don't seem to attack. Mm-hmm. People go down. Like Nagy just can't make adjustments.
Yeah, and actually, some of the things that you're sharing with us I have in the media bites that I'm going to present here shortly. But before I do that, I want to bring John in because I'd love to get John's take on this whole issue with Aaron Rodgers and how you felt about that. For those of you who don't know, the good-looking gentleman screen right is John Santucci, otherwise known as the Tooch. He is our co-producer, and we'd love to get his takes on certain things. Welcome to the show, John. You heard us what we were talking. You've been monitoring the comments. What's your thought on this whole thing? Unmute yourself, and we'll be able to hear you.
Didn't realize I was muted. I'll tell you. Did I think the Bears were going to beat the Packers? No. Did I think they had a chance? Sure. But I don't think I've ever felt this low in quite a long time. And, the Rodgers with his championship belt motion and I own you, that was salt in my wounds. Mm-hmm. And it didn't sit well with me. It's lingering in the back of my head this whole week while I work, while I do things, just the simmering anger of before I'm like, okay, I don't care what Nagy does. I don't think Nagy will ever figure out how to beat the good teams, because when it comes down to it, the Bears, they beat the teams they should beat, but when they play the elite of the NFL, they come up short, and it's been that way for quite a long time. I can't remember when we beat, one of the upper echelon teams, and this fan base is, crying out for the Bears to become one of those upper echelon teams because it has been so long. And 22-5, I can't say that Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a point when he says I own you. He doesn't own the fans. He sure as heck owns the Bears, and it's simmering back there because I'm sick of losing to the friggin' Packers.
Oh shit.
That's my thoughts. But I did prepare a slideshow for Dan Aguirre. I know he can't see it, but
he'll see it on the replay.
He'll see it on the replay. So my slideshow for how I feel, I call this Sergeant Bear's Lonely Fans Club Band, because as Dan Aguirre knows, it was 20 years ago today when Mike Brown had to save the day. And the Bears were who we thought they were, Dennis. But here's where Aldo and I are. We're in the Chicago Bears cycle. We lose in embarrassing fashion. We call for Matt Nagy to get fired. Then we beat up on a bad team, and Matt Nagy gets to keep his job for another week. Although we might have to delay that for this coming week because we're playing the world champion Buccaneers next week. And I tell you, I love Justin Fields, but Tom Brady versus Justin Fields isn't that hard of a choice for me, Aldo.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. It's not at all. Dan, you were going to say something?
I was just adding on to Tooch. I was like, he said, I forget exactly what he said about owning. I think he was referencing owning. I was like, well, Rodgers ought to own his comments, like his post game, or like I said earlier, when he was like, oh, I don't know what I said. I was just in that kind of zone. It's the most disingenuous shit like imaginable. But I was going to tell you too, on the trip, I tried everything I could because me being Mr. Superstition. So it starts out well, and then suddenly Green Bay takes over, and I'm listening. I'm like, God, I've got to do something. I'm powerless. I was like, what if I turn it to Wayne Larrivee and start listening to Green Bay's broadcast and pretend just for a moment that I'm rooting for the Packers somehow? Well, that flips aside. Some kind the universe then help the Bears. And sure enough, as soon as I switched it to Green Bay radio, the next drive the Bears scored. And I thought, this is it. I've come up with the formula.
Yes.
The old Bears announcer and on the Green Bay station, and we're going to win. And of course we didn't, but I tried. I did everything I could. I didn't watch it live. I switched radio stations, and it still just wasn't enough.
So there are a lot of frustration about this game. I want to get into some of the particulars of the game, but I think the best thing to do is sort of help us segue through this. With the media bites that I put together, we have got the media talking about the Aaron Rodgers situation that we've just finished talking about, the I own you comment, and then it segues to some of the problems with the Chicago Bears team. And then on the other end, the three of us can pick up on that conversation. So let's play the media bites for this week. It's a 15-minute segment. So, Dan, how many times can you ejaculate within 15 minutes?
There's no need to ejaculate when you're coming off this kind of loss.
That is true. I will give you that. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
What stands for the land of the stinking onion? That's a real fact.
Like, I thought that would be like a franchise turning point moment if the Bears could pull that
when they
win
were up
off.
7-0.
7-0.
I was like, ooh.
Yeah, man. Like, could you imagine?
Up 7-0. Wow, they really got something going here.
And it's Rodgers going to take it himself. Look at him. RC, how about the speed? The pump fake, the speed, and then the stunt dog at the end. And boy, does he ever. So you'll hear him explain. The fans were giving him the business, perhaps one in particular. He got up and he had this to say in reply.
I own you.
I love it. No flags thrown, no taunting penalties.
Truth is an absolute defense. It's impossible to argue. Aaron Rodgers, the owner of the Bears, with a 10-point win.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
Looked up in the stands, and in the front row, all I saw was a woman giving me the double bird.
I didn't know my wife was in Chicago yesterday.
Well, I'm not sure exactly what came out of my mouth next.
Fuck you!
I like to punch him in his face. To be honest. I like to punch him in his face. When you see that, that's your first reaction, right? I don't care if you're right. I don't care what his excuse is. That's just is your first reaction. I don't care if he, I don't know. To me, that's a lame excuse at the podium. I saw some lady flick me off and I blacked out. Look. Just say that's how you. We all know this is the kind of guy you are. You're competitive, and that's the way you feel. And you have won a lot of games here at Soldier Field. Just because you're right, it doesn't make you right for doing it. Doesn't make us any less pissed off.
For a lot of this game, the Bears were in it, and you're like, okay, here's this cool new group with Fields and Khalil Herbert going for 97 yards, and like the two rookies, and like the defense in his face. Mooney looked good. Yeah. And then Rodgers does what he does. Always happens. Under 5 minutes to go at Soldier Field, he'll do some miraculous thing, whether it's Jordy Nelson or Randall Cobb, or in this case himself. I don't even have a response to that. I kind of would have liked it if he said, we own you, but he said, I own you. I don't know. That was a little very personal. Like, I own you. Okay, all right, that's interesting.
Own it! I own Justin Fields in his fourth start. I own the day in which I couldn't even throw for 200 yards while Dak Prescott threw for 465?
Are you saying the Patriots have a comparable defense to the Bears?
I think it's in the ballpark.
Skip.
I think it's in the ballpark. Yeah, I do.
What ballpark?
Yeah.
The only park they in, you told me Yellowstone or Yosemite? Because that's the only part where Patriots defense is in the park with the Chicago Bears.
I think for the Chicago Bears fans and their organization, Aaron Rodgers is Michael Myers.
Fake to Graham. Rodgers going deep. He's got a man open. It's Jennings. Touchdown Packers.
Rodgers slides, throws, touchdown! Randall Cobb in his first game back. Blitz. Rodgers gets out, floats it. Cobb! Touchdown! Randall Cobb!
Blitz. And what a cat! It'll be 6 touchdowns in the first half. Rodgers surveying, fires. That's caught. Randall Cobb into Chicago territory. Randall Cobb inside the 20-yard line. Randall Cobb is going to score.
I know you guys have a dumb button there. I'd like to tell you exactly how I feel about it, but I can't say too much on this radio show, on the radio, about exactly how I feel about Aaron Rodgers doing that.
Fuck you!
This is vintage LeBron-esque Aaron
Oh,
Rodgers.
my God. How did LeBron get in this one?
He is, how many times have I told you? He is the LeBron James of the National Football League. He is the biggest diva. He is the biggest front runner. And the audacity to seize a moment against a rookie quarterback in his 4th start, and you're barely winning the game anyway, and you go 2 out of 8 on 3rd down in the game, and you don't even throw for 200 yards in the whole game.
They need to.
And you barely top 300 total yards, your offense, in the game. Mm-hmm. And you finally get loose on a scramble at the end of the game, and he looks slower than Tom Brady.
I certainly would like to see Aaron Rodgers be more of a quarterback and less of a diva. I'd like to see my quarterbacks be like Peyton Manning, you know? Don't go challenge the fans. Just be a straight-up guy. Don't have any fun. Be like Warren Moon. Just approach the game like a professional. See, Aaron Rodgers is not traveling the world like a professional. He's acting like a real jerk right now, screaming at fans and stuff. So I want to make sure that he just doesn't do that moving forward. Take that away from Aaron Rodgers, and he would have had a great game.
Because otherwise, he's having too much fun.
Max, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no.
So
Otherwise, he's having too much fun.
He gets praised, but when other players do it, they
No, I love it. I love when Aaron's do it. I just can hear people in their mind saying that Aaron Rodgers shouldn't be having as much fun as he's having out on the football field, and he's challenging the fans. So I'm sure the Twitter world is going at him on his Twitter account or whatever the case is.
Actually, speaking of online, you know what the Bears Wikipedia page?
What's that?
The owner now says Aaron Rodgers on the Bears Wikipedia page. Someone got on there and changed it. Owner Aaron Rodgers.
But he's 22-5. Hell yeah, he owns.
Yeah, he
Ain't nothing
does.
you can do. Nothing you can do.
Things like this are great for sports, right? Because
Absolutely.
as a fan, like you know, fans want to look. They have impact on games, and regardless of what people think, as a player on the field or on the court, I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you.
As someone who is always pro-trash talk, that was pro-trash talk when it was Tim Anderson, when it was Javi Baez, when it was Michael Jordan, when it was Deion Sanders, when it was Terrell Owens, when it was Chad Ochocinco. I am pro-trash talk. I think it makes the games more interesting, and this is an entertainment product. That moment was awesome. Sucks who was doing it and who he was doing it to, but the moment itself was awesome.
Think about this for a second.
22-5.
You're a divisional rival. It's not a rivalry anymore.
It's not a rivalry. That's right. Like, we're comparing it to Jordan and, like, how would a Knicks fan feel? The Bears aren't the Knicks. The Bears suck. The Bears have been nobody.
We've had moments where we were the Knicks.
Yeah, but that's not what it...
hosted an NFC championship game. That was the year. That's the equivalent of when Charles Smith couldn't get a shot up on Horace Grant.
Ewing for Smith. Smith. Stripped. Smith. Stopped again by Pippen. What a play by Scottie Pippen. Final seconds. Jordan for Armstrong. And the Bulls have defeated the Knicks. The Chicago Bulls with a couple of...
If we're not the Knicks, then the Detroit Lions are the Knicks, and we're the Indiana Pacers. Jordan was a villain to a lot of people, a lot of teams. Every team, in fact, in the Eastern Conference for a decade felt that way. I mean, you look at the list of most wins by a quarterback against one team, Danny, and I happen to be looking at it here. It's Brady against the Bills and the Jets, and then it's Favre against the Lions. And then eventually you get to Favre against the Bears and Rodgers against the Bears, But you still see Rodgers against the Lions in there and Favre against the Vikings in there. I mean, this is what happens. Yeah. This entire division feels this way about these people.
One thing that Dennis Green, when he took over the Minnesota Vikings, he put the Green Bay Packers on the board. He said, I'm going to make this simple for you guys. Just so you know, it's just like the East, just like high school. The East side versus the kids on the other side of the track. Like, you need to know who you need to beat. And we need to beat the Green Bay Packers. That was always number one. Ever since I arrived in Minnesota in 1990, there has always been, whoever the starting quarterback is, his jersey will be on the practice dummy in Minnesota. We went from Favre to Rodgers, and we don't mind it because we know you have to take that guy down. But the total incompetence of Chicago, the inability to have a steady coach, a steady quarterback in with their number one rival, that's really for one of the best rivals that we have in the NFL.
Is it a rivalry? I don't know.
The really great quarterbacks understand, Skip. I got a rookie. If I don't turn it over, I don't believe he can do enough against our defense to beat us. Long as I don't give them short fields. Remember, the Cowboys going for it on first down on their own 34, gave a rookie quarterback a short field, and what did he do? Score a touchdown out of it. Aaron Rodgers says, oh, no. I don't need to be spectacular. We're going to be able to run the game, run the football well enough. All I can do is make a few throws here and there. Everything else will take care of itself. I thought he orchestrated the game plan. Unbelievable. He did not put the ball in harm's way. Got the one big play to Devontae. Aaron Jones did a great job of running the football. And so that's what you need in a situation like that, Skip. And he was like, the emotion. He said, I looked up in the stands and there was a lady give me the double bow. I don't know what came out of her mouth, but hey, I had to meet fire with fire. And said, I looked up like, I own you. You know I bleeping own you.
Fuck you! We talked ad nauseum in the pregame about how important it would be for not only the players to be ready to play, but for the coaches.
Bingo.
To do the best job they could at having game plans designed to be effective, to be productive. We played into the hands of the Packers today. We did exactly what they wanted us to do. We didn't threaten them until late in the game. Now think about this. OB, you and I were screaming the entire day. Early in the game, the Packers center went out. Okay, big deal. He snaps the ball. Well, guess what? You got a backup center in there, and not one time over the next 25 plays did they put somebody on his nose.
That's right.
To make him understand, he's got to make sure he gets a snap and then get his hands up to block. We saw our center muff a ball and not even get the snap off because he was so concerned with Kenny Clark on his nose. But simple things like that. Think about this. Both offensive tackles, backups, the center, backup. 3 out of the 5 offensive linemen in this game for the Packers were backups. On the defensive side, Savage left the game after he hit Herbert and got a concussion. So both starting corners are down, and now the safety. 3 out of the 4 starting secondary members of the Packers did not play in this game in the second half.
Unbelievable.
And yet we only threw the ball down the field in the middle on that one lone touchdown drive. The rest of the time, we were sending our receivers deep outs. All these idiotic pass plays where the quarterback had no option and he had to sit back there, pat the ball, then start having to figure out how to evade the pressure or get sacked. I'm telling you, Folks, I'm telling you, if I watch this game film with these coaches, they wouldn't want to walk out of the room. They would be so embarrassed because we were so stupid today.
Danny, absolutely. There's really nowhere to go. Those are the words. Stupid. 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 Stupid is, stupid does.
Can't believe that this many years into this regime, there aren't more playmakers out there.
I think they're trying to get them, but they're trying to do it later in the round. They're trying to do it with the later picks. They're trying to hit on somebody, and they missed on Kevin White, right?
That
They
was
missed
a
on him.
massive miss.
That was a massive miss. Now you got to go get another guy. You have to get a. You mentioned Jamar Chase earlier, like a guy like that. You have to go get a guy like that. If Allen Robinson is not that guy, if he is, then you got to use him like it, because they're not using him like it. He comes away out of this game. I think he had 5 targets or something like that. You got to use him. If he's your number one, you got to use him.
Is there an Allen Robinson problem? Are we continuing to discuss?
There's a definite Allen Robinson problem. And Pete, we've talked about this a lot, that he's had so much success with bad quarterbacks. I mean, you think about the guys in Jacksonville, the highlight would be Blake Bortles, that 2015 season that he had, which was record-breaking, not just for Jacksonville, but for NFL purposes. And the guys he's had in Chicago with Andy Dalton and Nick Foles and Mitchell Trubisky, it's been bad for him. And we thought, okay, Justin Fields comes in, maybe things are going to get a lot better. It's gotten so much worse.
They were far from perfect in the first half, made too many mistakes. It was still 10-7, and they basically had two choices. They could come out and play closer to perfect second half, probably win the game, or continue the crap they were doing in the first half. And you could tell right away on the second play, I think it was, they throw that little, I don't know if it was the second play, but it was second down, they throw that little screen to Khalil Herbert, and he drops the ball. Drive over, drive killer. It's just continuing to be a theme with the Bears in recent years, these drive killers. You've heard Matt Nagy talk about them. You can't have drive killers against Aaron Rodgers. There's just no margin for error.
The offense is the worst in football.
It's a terrible offense, and it's been a terrible offense except for his glow-up year of 2018. Other than that, it's been bad.
Yeah. And that year, their starting quarterback had all of 24 touchdown passes. It was nothing special offensively. The results were amazing. The hope, the buzz, the energy, the vibe, the club dub, the leadership, all the quotes, all that was great. But the offense was still just like, it was fine.
I think, you get away from selecting guys in the first round that you say have so much upside. These guys are so much potential. If you just get them around the right coach, there's so much you can do with him. You go into the first round, especially you go into the top 10,
Take a
get
sure
a
thing.
surefire guy.
Like Roquan.
Absolutely. There's no doubt in our mind that Roquan, his play in college was going to transition over into the NFL.
They were going to take one of two guys at that 8th pick. It was either going to be Quentin Nelson, who they wanted. He was gone.
Yeah.
So they took Roquan. He's a perennial Pro Bowler.
Both of those guys are surefire guys. You knew those guys were going to play well in the NFL.
When they went after Golladay this offseason, they admitted they had a problem at wide receiver, that they needed somebody explosive. They didn't hit on Miller. They trade up for Anthony Miller in the second round. They don't hit on him. They don't hit on Adam Shaheen, right? So they got to go take Cole Kmet. They don't hit on Mitch Trubisky, so you got to redraft the quarterback.
And give up more
So
capital.
you don't have time. You give first-round picks for Khalil Mack, right? You don't get the explosive players if you can't get the positions fixed. So that's why they're in this position. They admitted that to you so much last year when they tried to give Golladay all that money. He ended up with the Giants, right? They went after Trent Williams at left tackle. He ended up staying with the San Francisco 49ers. So they had to redraft position. It's not a mystery why they're in this position.
There it is. Media Bites for this week. Boy, we covered a lot of ground there, huh, Dan Aguirre?
Yeah, the one that still bothers me more than any, and even more so than this Rodgers week and his antics, the thing that, and you had it in there, it's from 2013, week 17, when in your end, and it's fourth and really long, the Chris Conte play when Joe Buck says, Cobb! And he's wide open down the field and he scores. Again, that's the one time I marsawed my remote.
Shattered that baby.
My soon-to-be wife at the time looked at me like I was an idiot because I was. But that's, I'm telling you, but that might be the worst moments of my fandom ever for the Bears, are losing that 88 NFC Championship game, the Super Bowl of the Colts, the championship game in 2010, and then that game with Cobb. And that moment with Cobb is the one I think I took the worst, arguably, because I think it added on to all those other ones.
Yeah. And the three things actually I want to say about that highlight package with the Packers is that people are telling me in the chat, whoever put this shit together should be fired, Aldo. They hated reliving those terrible moments. So I did a good job there because that was the point. That's why he can get away from a philosophical standpoint saying he owns us, because on the football field, he has owned us. I played basketball against guys who told me I own you. And they did. They beat the shit out of me. But it didn't stop me from telling them, fuck you. So that's one point. Secondly, on all those highlights, it's amazing how often the secondary is just being burned to death. Yes, on some plays, the pass rush wasn't there, but on a lot of plays, the pass rush forced them out of the pocket. Where their biggest mistake was not containing him in the pocket. But boy, oh boy, replay after fucking replay after fucking replay, it is the defensive backs, the DBs who are getting burned. They're fucking playing safety, and there's the guy wide open in the middle of the zone. They're playing. What I meant when they're playing safety, they're playing zone, and there's the open wide receiver. When they're playing 1-to-1, the fucking receiver is making a great catch on a perfectly thrown ball by Aaron Rodgers over and fucking over again. And third, the thing that I noticed most is Randall Cobb. He and Aaron Rodgers have been fucking. Oh God! I just wish they would go away now. I've given up on trying to beat them. Just get them away from me. I'm so fucking frustrated.
I'll add to that by pointing this out. That safety combo that I think in 2013 would have been Chris Conte and Major Wright.
Yes.
Major Wright was already gone, and I just don't remember. But I would take both of those guys. I mean this wholeheartedly. Over Eddie Jackson and Gibson. Gibson's tackling, and we know the Eddie Jackson stuff is well documented. The play on the goal line again the other day, and Gibson had two horrendous. Deion Bush, what does this guy got to do to be a starter when he's got these two bums in front of him? I think the Bears, this is the worst two starting safeties that we've had in the 30 plus years I've watched the Bears. They are dreadful. The worst two safeties in all of football 2021.
Yeah, it's so disappointing to see that Gibson has decided to enlist in the Eddie Jackson I don't want to tackle school. Because his tackling was much better last season, particularly in the second half of the season. He was the best safety. I think maybe he was one of the best safeties in the NFC. I can say that with some certainty. The last 6, 7, 8 games of the season, Gibson was. But this season, that tackle attempt against the Packers, that was a brilliantly called up defense by Sean Desai. They had the field blanketed. Rodgers saw that it was blanketed and had to dump that pass off, and fucking Gibson gives the Olay type tackle. It's so frustrating that, I finally thought, well, maybe now we have found the replacement for Adrian Amos, because I was all in on Adrian Amos, just like a lot of you guys were. Don't fucking lose this guy. Finally, we got a safety tandem that is playing well together in 2018, and the fucking Bears can't figure out a way to maintain Adrian Amos. And hindsight being 2020, it should have been Eddie Jackson. They should have gift wrapped to the Packers. So you're absolutely right, Dan. I would fucking take Chris Conte and Chris Conte's mother to play the safety positions for the Chicago Bears right now. I could tell fucking John Santucci is angry. I think he's ordering up a hit. Somebody's going to be over at Dallas with two machine guns.
Awful tackle on the backup running back Dillon in the first half, where he got like 20 or 30 yards just because of Gibson. And then on that touchdown from Jones, that was all on Gibson too. And of course, we're not talking about the linebacker, Gib 99. We're talking about the bullshit safety.
Right.
Tayshon. He was just dreadful. And Eddie Jackson is, at this point, he's done.
I think so. I think so.
He got paid, and that's that. He's done.
Yep. You know, the trade deadline is coming up, and there's a bunch of teams. I was saying this on the other show that we had earlier tonight. The Kansas City Chiefs are desperately looking for a safety, and there's a couple of other teams who are in safety help. Now, Eddie Jackson comes with this big fucking price tag, so a lot of teams may not have the money, or they may not want to invest in Eddie Jackson for multiple years, but he does have an out in his contract, and so perhaps there's a way for the Bears, again, to fucking eat more money out of somebody's contract and just unload the fucker, because I do believe, and I forgot, and John, if you can find it, somebody earlier, maybe 10 minutes ago, said that Eddie Jackson is a cancer in the locker room. I think maybe it was King Pokey Nation. And I'm starting to believe that, because what happens on Sunday, Lance Briggs criticizes Eddie Jackson's tackling, and what does fucking Eddie Jackson do? He goes hunting for old tweets about Lance Briggs, and he brings up a Pro Football Focus tweet saying that Lance Briggs was a terrible tackler the last 3 years, according to the data. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? You should be on your knees praying to God for the courage to go out there and tackle like a Chicago Bear, not fucking looking for tweets.
I agree with you. Lance Briggs may not make the Hall of Fame, but he's one of these guys that's at least going to be in the conversation, a number of times where he's going to make a certain cut, and maybe he doesn't go over, but Eddie Jackson will never, ever, ever be within that speaking distance, or however you want to depict it. He'll never be discussed for Hall of Fame. So to go after Lance Briggs is quite egregious. Let's just say it.
Yeah, it's so stupid. I mean, and so I wonder, if this attitude is permeating. Whether Gibson, who's a veteran, he's older than Eddie Jackson. If anything, he should be, influencing him in a positive way. But is this potential, even if it's not now, but could it potentially impact some of the young players, the Kendall Vilders, the Duke Shelleys, and so forth? I mean, he's telling them in practice, anybody can tackle. You just got to get the ball. Bullshit. You can't fucking tackle, dude.
I swear to you, I would start DHC and Deion Bush. Is it really that big of a fall off?
Well, Bush is injured now. I think he might be out for the season. That's another.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I somehow missed that.
Late breaking news, yeah.
Or either way, DHC deserves an opportunity. He's our draft pick, and these guys have played themselves out of the lineup. At some point, you have to bring the hammer down and show people if you're playing poorly, you can be replaced, and that lights a fire into people as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. So there's, it's weird. Last week I was hoping. I wasn't convinced at all that the Bears were going to win, but I was hoping. I'm a fan. I wanted them to win. I want them to turn this thing around. So a lot of my comments were based on fandom. But the reality of the situation, Dan, you and I were there for the Lions game. I think while the Bears played a good game in just about every facet of the game, but one big reason why the Bears won is because the Lions suck so fucking bad. Their coach made bad decisions. The players made some executed some bad things. And then the week before, or the week afterwards with the Raiders, the same fucking thing. The Raiders weren't 100% there. And, Darren Waller, here's a guy that, and you can credit some of the Bears defense for shutting down Darren Waller, but there was some shit going on with the Raiders there. That was not the team that won this past week and the team that won the week prior. So I'm thinking to myself, all right, so maybe these two wins against these two, one bad team and one average team, or slightly better than average, maybe that we lucked out on those two wins, and that the real team is somewhere between the Browns loss and the Packers loss. Because in my mind, that team in Cleveland that Dan and I watched with our very own eyes, they beat the fuck out of the Bears. Even though we were in it, they just beat the shit out of us. And they what I want to say is they are a better team than the Packers. And so I'm just worried that this team is in for a long haul. They might have their franchise quarterback, but they won't have much else after that. They won't have receivers. They won't have an offensive line. They won't have anything. I'm literally crying.
The Bears are potentially better than what you were saying there, because I thought that they really were tough against Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And, really were physical, and I think they kind of earned that game. And although I said last week, the Raiders dropped some passes and stuff, and that never happens against Green Bay. Never. Mm-hmm. They always take advantage of any mental mistakes that the Bears manifest. I still think that the Bears, they had a shot. Mm-hmm. The thing that I would like to ask Nagy, so the overwhelming majority of the time, he would probably be like, well, it's Bill Lazor calling plays, not me. Don't blame me. But the overwhelming majority of the time, we're critical of him having the receivers run really short, shallow crosses and not going deep. So late in the game, when you're down 10 and all you need is like 3 yards, like just don't fuck this up.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You bring Santos out and you got 24-17 and you're kicking off and you're asking your defense just to get us the ball back. Then why is everybody running deep right there? Why at the one time that the intelligent play would be to run a 3 or 4 yard out, do you send everyone on streaks? Mm-hmm. Like everybody's going deep. And I know you can say, well, Fields is holding the ball too long, but the fact that he got sacked 2 times on that possession is a reflection of the fucking play call too.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, give him somebody to throw short to. Like where is Cole Kmet there?
Mm-hmm.
Or leave Holtz. And I don't even know if Holtz was active because again I was in the car. Somebody like Holtz that could be in blocking but just suddenly drop off and catch a screen pass. Like the thing is, just don't get sacked here, and we can bring Cairo out, and in theory we can get 3 right here, and that keeps us alive. Just don't fuck that up. Because I think they had 1st and 10 at like the Green Bay 32.
Mm-hmm.
And when they punt, or they go for it on 4th and 26, it's at midfield.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you doing, man? Just don't fuck this up. There are a couple possessions like that. One in the first half, too, where you're like, well, we're going to get at least an opportunity for a field goal. And then the play calling took us out of it. And someone said, one of the callers on the Hampton OB show suggested that they thought that that Nagy took over the play calling this week.
Mm-hmm.
And who would be surprised? Honestly,
I frankly don't think so, but I do think that he has a lot of influence on the whole scheme, and he can veto a play call or he can suggest a play call, but I think for the majority of it, it was probably Lazor. I that's just a gut feel, but I could be totally wrong. This guy could be lying to us. He could be. A lot of people in the chat room have called him a snake oil salesman. I would agree with that. Say that again, Dan.
I like that depiction. I like it. The snake oil salesman.
Yep.
See this quote up there?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. Please read that.
Yeah, all the mistakes by the Bears. This is exactly what I was about to say. All the mistakes by the Bears, penalties, drop passes, missed tackles. That's all coaching.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happens when you get 4 years into a regime and players start to tune out the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get rid of Nagy. If you want to grow, and do it soon, because you got a young quarterback that could really be something. But players like Eddie Jackson, get rid of him. Yeah, the Bears haven't invested in the secondary. They picked Jalen Johnson, then they had the undrafted Kendall Vilder. Fine, those 2 guys can play. The safety position.
Vilder was a 5th or 6th round draft.
Was he? Okay. They've invested in cornerback a little bit. Safety, Ryan Pace is good at finding these late round draft picks. It's the 1st and 2nd rounders that are really more missed than hit.
Mm-hmm.
And that falls on Ryan Pace, of course. But the secondary, imagine what a safety like Jamal Adams could do in this defense. We watched, if anybody watched the Pittsburgh and Seattle game, the only guy making plays on the Seattle defense was Jamal Adams. He was the only reason why that game was even close. They didn't have Russell Wilson playing on offense.
And that just reminds me, about Ryan Pace, and I know sometimes I vacillate and give him credit. He has picked some good players, but overall, I don't think he has the same problem that Matt Nagy has when he's calling plays. He doesn't know how to build a team. He doesn't have a vision. He hasn't been working on that same vision from day one. His vision has changed. He's adapted. He's changed. He's flipped. He's flopped, and so forth. And that doesn't work in the NFL. I'm not saying you don't adjust, but he never came in with a vision that made sense. He should have, as the general manager of this team, he should have figured out a way to get rid of Jay Cutler in that contract. And even if you had to eat 50% of it, 60% of it, he had to come in and find a young quarterback to build around. And if he couldn't do it in the first year, he had to do it by the second year. And to join that quarterback at the hip with a Siamese coach, someone who was going to tutor him, bring him along. It doesn't necessarily have to be an offensive coach, but at least a defensive coach that would have the respect of that quarterback and then build something special. And Ryan Pace has a lot of the blame here. I mean, he hired Matt Nagy. He actually sat in an interview. Matt Nagy was probably wearing his visor, and he asked questions, and he probably got responses like, well, that all depends on the why. That all depends about, all those fucking cliches that we've been hearing about for the last several years. Ryan Pace sat through dinner with him twice and heard all that shit and said, that's my guy. Ryan Pace, you're the fucking problem. Yep. I mean, come on.
Nebulous comments.
I want to agree with something Tooth said and take it farther about Nagy being the problem. I think that's like, let's say, and this is a worst case scenario, and I don't want to write off Sunday because we beat Tampa last year, and I'd love for them to get fired up and come together as a team and pull off the upset this week. But let's say conventional wisdom comes into fruition and we're rolled. Like Tampa's been blowing everybody out, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say the Bears lose 40-10 or just some horrific fucking fashion, and it's down there. Things can get away. We've gotten blown out down there several times in the last 5 to 10 years. Mm-hmm. So let's say that would happen. Like, I think the best thing would be to cut Nagy now. The reason why, I'm not just saying that all a cavalier just because I don't like him. No, because maybe, just maybe, if you hire, whether it's Flip or Laser or whomever, you can see if we can keep this system in place with one of those guys, mm-hmm. with Fields the rest of the way. In theory, if it works out, then you don't have to change the offense in the offseason, which would behoove Fields to be in the same place, running the same offense for his second year and his third year, which is what Rodgers has been afforded the whole time he's been in Green Bay. Conversely, you don't want Fields to suddenly be Jay Cutler, where you're switching offenses and coordinators and coaches all the time on him. So if you get rid of Nagy now and see what you have with Bill Lazor, and maybe that's something, and maybe you can keep those two guys together into year two, because as we all know, it certainly appears that the Bears are not going to go farther with Nagy. And I don't mean to give you double talk, because I'm rooting for Nagy only because of the visor that he's wearing is a Bears visor, and I want to win.
I'll tell you, if they get rid of Nagy, you'll know for sure it's Bill Lazor calling the plays then. if Nagy's gone, I'll tell you, there was the shovel pass on the goal line to Cole Kmet that had to be Nagy. That was a dumbass play. Cole Kmet's like stiff and slow. Then you saw Green Bay ran the exact same play, but with Alan Lazard, and they got the touchdown. It was like throwing it in Nagy's face. But you cut Nagy. I agree with Dan. Get rid of Nagy now. The players have tuned him out. You've got a guy who was a head coach in the NFL sitting in the staff right now, Doug Marrone, I think, right? Is that right?
Yep.
Doug Marrone is on the staff. Even if he's the head coach for the last 11 games.
You're talking about Pettin, Mike Pettin.
Mike Pettin, sorry.
Yeah.
Mike Pettin has been a head coach in the NFL, I think. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Has he been a head coach?
Yeah, I think with the Jaguars.
Was it with the
Jaguars or Browns or something like that.
Browns. He was in Cleveland.
He was head coach with the Browns. For 11 games, fine, and then start your search. Shortly before the end of the season. Mm-hmm. But the snake oil salesman comment sticks because Nagy's able to say things that sound like they make really good sense, and George McCaskey and Ted Phillips don't know enough about football. They think it's great. Wow, this guy really knows what he's talking about. But he doesn't. His play calling is horse shit. The only reason the Bears were able to move the ball in the game against the Raiders is because Bill Lazor was called a good game. And I saw a comment in the chat room. I don't know if I threw it up there, but the Bears, I don't think have the Bears scored more than 21 points in a game this season.
No, I guess not.
You hired Matt Nagy to be an offensive, coach, offensive-minded coach. His offense has been consistently ranked in the bottom third of the league year after year. It just hasn't worked. You just need Bears management to figure out that it's not working. That's all.
Right. Oh, is that Dan?
I think we had 27 against Detroit, right?
That is right. That is right.
Okay, so one time out of 6, he scored more than 21 points.
I also want to add I lost my train of thought of what Tooch was saying there. Shit.
Regarding scoring points, regarding
it was before that when he
get rid of Matt Nagy.
Well, yeah, of course it was a Matt Nagy, but it was something on the lines of being okay. The snake oil salesman thing, but the thing about that, I honestly believe, and I could be wrong, but I honestly believe above all, Virginia and George are both love the Chicago Bears. We may not like how they manage the store, so to speak, and maybe we think that they're the ones running it in the ground, but they care. We're not talking about somebody that just wants to turn a profit and that they're happy with it. I don't believe that they are like that. I really don't. So to me, when George McCaskey and Virginia McCaskey are at the game, and they were there, if that game would have been in Green Bay, they would have been there. She goes to every game. So when Rodgers does that to the fans in our stadium, that stings. That stings George McCaskey. That's one of those, my grandmother's pissed off kind of comments, like I think we could possibly hear at the end of the season. So like I said, I'm going back an hour or two now or whatever, I honestly believe that's the beginning of the end for Nagy, because that matters to George McCaskey. That's a stab in his heart too, because he's a fan just like we are.
Yeah, I think we're still a long way from getting the ownership of this organization to think about hiring and firing. They may, obviously it's going to pop into their minds, but they're going to wait to see what happens with Justin Fields. I talked about this before. If Justin Fields starts playing well, maybe after the break, he starts looking like, okay, this guy is looking like the Ohio State Justin Fields. He's running for yards, picking up 50, 60 yards a game running. He's throwing long missile touchdowns. He's sharp on the intermediate passes. He's just got it all going on. If that's what he looks like after the break, at some point, Matt Nagy's going to be back here. I don't care if he's still saying the whys or the bullshit. And I don't care what the fans are saying. The Bears organization won't get rid of him, and they won't get rid of Ryan Pace. That's my gut feel on that. So we still have a lot to play out. One of the things that I was thinking about this morning is, we fans, and when I say we, I mean me. I mean, from week to week, my fucking opinion is changing on shit. One week I got them going to the Super Bowl. One week I got them going to hell and stuff. And so we gotta, take a more macro look at this older. There you go. Teacher's got the chart up. Lose in embarrassing fashion. Call Matt Nagy to get fired. Call for Matt Nagy to get fired. Beat up a bad team. And now Matt Nagy keeps his job because he beats a bad team. Well, and that won't happen until the Steelers on Monday night, right? Dude,
that's where we are.
So,
how would that make you feel if Matt Nagy was back next year? We go 8-9. How would that make you guys feel? Really? Another year of despair.
Yeah, frankly,
I can't take it.
Yeah. Bear Truth says, although that's like betting on Nagy being a great offensive coordinator. Yeah, and that's not what he is. He is definitely not that. My preference at this point, I've seen enough. Blow it all up. Come the bye week, I would be calling Mayflower now. the moving company, and I'll say, hey, what's that date on our bye week? Yeah, get the trucks ready because we're going to be moving a lot of shit out. So he's got to go. He's got to go by the bye week and just start fucking over. Give the team to Mike Pettin or Sean Desai, because that's the other thing I'm afraid of. We get a new head coach. All of a sudden, this Sean Desai guy who's looking like the next genius on defense, we might lose him. So, Jesus Christ.
That's how you give the team to Mike Pettin. They might actually start little win streak. Just re-energized, with a fiery head coach that knows what he's doing.
Dan,
I believe that this is a turning point for either the favorability of keeping him, that they rally around this point, or this is the start of where they slide and lose like 5 out of 6. I think that Sunday was the turning point for his tenure as coach. I think this will be the moment we look at.
It's a Solo Tooch show. Welcome to the Solo Tooch show here. I hear what Dan's saying for sure. This is a turning point, and probably not for the best. I was doing a little solo there, riff, but I hear what Dan's saying. This is probably a little turning point. We lost to the Packers. Yes, we're playing Tom Brady next week. I mean, the only question really next week is, will the Bears cover the spread? In my opinion. They're not winning the game.
Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
Before we get away from the Green Bay game, there's always a couple of calls, and maybe you can call this me whining, but okay, I'll own it. There's always a couple of moments where it's like, God, this only happens with Green Bay. Like, for example, there was a sequence early in the game. They throw a flag on Mario Edwards, right? They call him for taunting. But what happens? Aaron Rodgers is holding Mario Edwards' face mask and pulling him to the ground. So Edwards shoves him off, and they throw the flag on Edwards. And everybody's like, oh, that's him again being undisciplined. Rodgers was pulling his fucking face mask. It should have been a 15-yard penalty. Furthermore, it should have been a taunting penalty when he was down in the end zone talking shit. They don't talk about that. How about the sequence late in the game when the referee's standing there and Justin Fields is calling for timeout, and they don't give it to him when he's calling for fucking timeout, like right in front of the official, and they call a delay of game on the Bears. That only happens against Green Bay. And it's not just us. How many times in the last few years have we seen like Detroit get cheated by them on Monday night too? There's been 2 Lions games that I don't remember the exact sequences where the Lions had them beat and the officials helped them win. It's just like they're like the fucking like the team that the NFL worships or something. They so desperately want Aaron Rodgers in the Super Bowl again, all those things always happen. Okay, another play. Remember the Packers were driving? I don't remember. It was late, I'm pretty sure, the second half, and they lost yardage. And I didn't get this from the radio broadcast. I saw this on the TV copy. When the guy with Greg Olsen, I don't know the other guy's name, that he was okay.
Yeah, I thought he was good.
Yeah, I don't know who he is. But anyway,
Joe Davis.
The Packers running back loses yardage, or at worst case scenario, you give him forward progress and there's a no gain. And they just simply give Green Bay the first down, and that's that.
Oh, Dan, I got like 40 million views. I shot it with my iPhone and posted it on TV, and it's just been trending because I could not fucking believe my eyes. I don't think he made it back to the line of scrimmage, much less get the first down on that 3rd and 1. It was unbelievable.
That happens every time we play them. There's always a handful of these calls that on their face, if you isolate one of them, it doesn't really look like it's that significant. But when you add like 5 of them up every game,
well,
it's just they always get everything handed to them.
Yeah, but I think NFL officiating is terrible across the league. Brad Rodgers is the name of the referee who headed the crew that was at Soldier Field this past week. Brad Rodgers was just promoted to referee I think within the last year. This is his 5th year in the NFL. What's he do 40 hours a week? He's a college professor. And so we're always going to have this problem with NFL officiating until the league decides we're going to pay these guys. A referee makes $500,000 a year. He doesn't need another fucking job. What he does during the week is he's studying film. He's studying tendencies. They're taking quizzes on that fucking 5,000-page rule book. They are totally dedicated to improving and having the best officiating crew in the entire fucking world. That includes soccer, rugby, whatever the fuck they play in other countries. The officials from the NFL, the league that makes the most money in the world, probably with the exception of European soccer. But these guys need to fucking dedicate themselves to being the best at what they do, and that starts first with the NFL hiring full-time officials. Secondly, establishing a replay system and a video system that is prioritized solely on making plays, not relying on the cameras at CBS, NBC, ESPN, all those fucking places that are paying you to televise the games. You're relying on them to help you with the officiating. But on some games they got 15 cameras, and some games they got 50 cameras. Well, how is that even? How is that consistent officiating when one game has more replay cameras than others? It's fucked up. It's fucked up, and it's one of the reasons sometimes the Bears can continue to lose every fucking game. I'm still going to be rooting for them. But the one thing that really pisses me off and makes me want to think about walking away from the NFL is the NFL, because of the way they fucking invest money or don't invest money into one of the most important aspects of the game, and that's officiating.
The one more play I wanted to bitch about. We overcame this as a team, but the touchdown that Khalil Herbert had late in the game that ultimately ended up being the touchdown from Fields to Mooney, because he got called back because of a bullshit holding call on Sam Mustipher that was absolutely ridiculous. There was no holding on that play from my vantage point whatsoever. And if I recall correctly, the broadcast team said so as well. And I don't mean Jeff Joniak. I mean the fucking Fox TV team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it might be the worst year of officiating I've seen in all the years I've watched the NFL. And I'll tell you, although what you're saying makes a ton of sense, probably too much sense, but officiating should be regulated, normalized across the league to make the game more fair. Because of the advent of legalized sports gambling, sweeping across this country and even offshore, the NFL needs to get this under control so that people are, it doesn't look good when a game is decided by a referee and people are wagering on the sport. It just looks terrible. I mean, you have all this technology, of all these cameras. There's no reason why plays can't be overturned. You've got, of course, it's up to the coach. Like, Nate could have thrown a challenge flag a few times, and he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes me wonder if he was calling plays. He's got to stop the play calling, be the head coach, manage the game, throw the red flag when you have to. I mean, you're costing your team wins. I mean, the Bears did have a chance to win this game. I bet Bears first half plus 3.5 points. I won that bet. Because I thought the Bears would come out fired up. I didn't think they'd win the game, but I didn't expect them to lose by 10.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it would be more like 6 or 7, but the second half, they did not adjust at all.
And what adjustments they did make worked against them, and so because they come out with this fucking sensational first drive on offense. The first series on defense, they did well. Rodgers picked up a first down on a scramble. They got a couple of first downs on that first series, but they locked it down by the time they got to midfield. And then the Bears took that ball, 80 yards on their first series? It was a beautiful fucking first drive. Fields looked great. Everything was fucking fantastic. And then all of a sudden, there's like this. Dan likes to use the word siesta, that the Bears defense goes into siesta. No, this time it was the offense. They went into fucking siesta mode. Let's take a nap. What was that, Dan?
I stole siesta from John Fox.
Oh,
Just to be
that's right. That's right.
attribution.
Hey, by the way, Dan, I wanted to share something with you. That is, you have been making the argument for a long time that Khalil Mack's level of play has deteriorated the last 2 years. Is that a fair assessment of what your thoughts?
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, although if you're going to go to the point, like where was he on in the critical moments this week? But to be fair, he's having a phenomenal year.
Yeah, and well, let me continue because I think this is going to help your argument. This is the linebackers coach. On Mondays, the position coaches talk to reporters, and I got to start paying more attention because those can be fucking gems. Those are the guys who are the absolute closest to the players. Some of those guys are like laser. They speak honestly. And listen to what the linebackers coach, Bill Shuey, said about Khalil Mack. He said he's always diligent in his preparation, but he understands that when he's fighting through something and he's not going to be able to take the reps in practice, he knows to put in a little extra time. He's got to look at things a little bit differently. And quite honestly, he's got to make sure he's taking mental reps, which is not something that he normally does a lot. So, evidence there, Dan, to support your theory that the last 2 years, Khalil Mack was not playing up to expectations, not playing to the level, and it was perhaps, of course, the injuries had something to do with it, but there's ways to prepare yourself when you're injured. And one of the greatest things you can do is visualization, taking mental reps. And his outside linebackers coach just said he has not been doing that the last couple of years. This year, he's doing it. That's a big fucking point there. With that, I call it a show.
I agree. That's a great point. And just to defend Mack, it helps him when Robert Quinn is also having a phenomenal year as well. We can only hope because allegedly he's vaccinated. So despite the fact that he's been put on the COVID list on Monday, there's still a chance by the end of the week maybe he can play in Tampa.
Yeah.
Given that he's allegedly vaccinated.
Yeah, and I'm guessing now, given that nothing has changed with Damian Williams, that he's not vaccinated. So that's why he's got to have to wait for 10 days at least before he can potentially come back. So he's probably going to miss next week's game too.
To be fair, Mack and Akeem Hicks are fighting through some injuries. I mean, it isn't a secret.
Oh yeah.
Both guys are really banged up. I mean, they fought through injuries to play in this Packers game. Both of them had a sack.
Mm-hmm.
So
Hicks got hurt again.
Hicks is hurt again. He had a groin injury, I think. But I mean that's going to hamper your production a little bit. A groin injury.
Oh man, I got to tell you, man, the level of frustration that I'm feeling right now in my life, my sex life. Play some music for me, John. So pissed off, man. It's just the humiliation. That's what bothers me the fucking most. I still would have been down in the dumps if we lose that game, by whatever score, 24-14 or 17-14. Should have been 17-14. But again, the defense went on siesta. But the fucking rubbing it in my face, I took it personal. When fucking Aaron Rodgers, first of all, I hate the fucking discount championship belt, whatever the fuck you want to call him. If I was the marketing director for State Farm, I would do a commercial where somebody smacks the shit out of Aaron Rodgers. Thank you. All right, cut it out. But, I'm just down in the dumps because Aaron Rodgers, just fucking told me that he owns me. And I know he doesn't, Chubbs, but he owns me. He told me he did, and I can't punch him. So that's why I'm mad.
Yeah, the humiliation was the salt in the wounds, really because we don't need Aaron Rodgers to tell us that. And, we all hated seeing him actually tell us.
Yes.
That's what bugs everybody this week. But I mean, yeah, I think we knew that the Bears weren't going anywhere. Are they maybe the second best team in this division? Probably, possibly. Their defense is sure playing, top 5. But I think I saw a comment in the chat room that the defense has been winning the games. That's probably pretty true.
Yeah.
The reason why they're winning games, they're able, but I mean, they're not putting up points, like they should be to become one of those top echelon teams, like teams that put up, 4 touchdowns a game, and then also have a good defense, like what you're seeing in Arizona or Buffalo. Those teams, they're able to ascend to that upper tier, and things have to change around Alice Hall. I think it's coaching. You said you've seen enough. I saw enough after 2 years. I knew the guy was a fraud. He got relieved of duties in Kansas City of calling plays.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how he
got.
got.
I'm sorry, you can't bring Ryan Pace back. I mean, you can't
Right,
say, okay,
point.
Ryan, hire another fucking coach and let's start over again. No.
I saw that question on Twitter. Are the two inseparable?
Yeah,
are they separable? Or?
Twins. Yeah, they're fucking. They're linked at the head, the shoulders, the hips. Their penises are tied together. They're fucking. They came in together. They didn't really come in
time
together.
For Dan's sex life. Penis is tied together.
Dan, you ever had your penis tied up? Do you have one of those long penises where? Did you ever see that penis puppet theater thing that happens in New York?
Puppetry of the penis. Yeah.
Puppetry of the penis. Yeah. He can fold the penis up. Dan, are you still there?
I'm here. I'm okay on length. I'm way better on width.
Oh, he's a Coca-Cola can guy. And that's why you drink all these Cokes, huh? What's been going on with your sex life? People want to know.
I haven't been laid in a while now, but I mean, I've just been at work or on these trips, so I probably need some. But like I said, after that game, I mean, I probably don't deserve it. Like none of the Bears deserve
it. You think the Bears players' wives are holding out on sex with the players?
No, because they get paid on Tuesday.
Mrs. Nagy should be holding on. No, I better stay away from that. I apologize, Mrs. Nagy. But I don't know, man. What do you guys want to talk about? I want to talk movies. Should we let's not talk politics, whatever we do.
I don't want to be divisive either. But just to bring it full circle, everyone's pain with this Aaron Rodgers thing, it almost humors me this week because that's the way I've always felt. Like I felt like this didn't really make me feel any worse. It's just like, okay, they just put a little bit more icing on the cake.
I'm surprised though, Dan. Me and a bunch of people in the chat room really thought that you were going to come on here and fire on Aaron Rodgers, and John is pointing at himself.
He's done this to us over and over and over. Like, this isn't a surprise. And like, I'm hoping that the team can rally around this and say, look at this scumbag, this arrogant fucking narcissist shitting all over you. Like, what are you gonna do about it? Mm-hmm. Hope they can use it as a motivational tactic to do some good with it, as opposed to just sitting around and saying, well, we don't really care. He was in his own and didn't know what he was saying, or whatever the fuck, man. Like, let's turn it into a positive. That's what I hope can happen.
I hope too. I'm usually a glass half full kind of guy, but right now, I look at this team and I say, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm empty. I'm sorry. I just want to say this is empty. I've been so empty because of him for so long that it just continually, this is my emotion, like just doesn't, it just doesn't register because I was already in the dumps because of him.
Yeah.
Dan's joined us.
Dan joined the cycle of Bears life. Laz says, Dan's right. The season just made a turn for the bad. I can see a typical 6-game losing streak coming like the last 2 seasons. Yeah, but the thing is,
there's got to be a Lions game in there somewhere.
Yeah, there is.
Just kidding, Don.
I'm hoping that we can beat the Steelers on Monday night. Dan's going to be there, so that's good luck. He's got a 1-game winning streak at games that he attends.
I will not be wearing a jersey to try to, again, keep that going.
Because you did not wear a jersey at the Lions game that you and I were at. So that's the theory, huh?
Right. And they're 0-4 when I'm in attendance wearing a jersey. And they're 1-0 when I don't wear a jersey. Mm-hmm. So I won't be wearing a jersey, and hopefully the Bears can win. But even though the Bears have won their last 3 against Pittsburgh, they've won a couple in a row. So by the time we play them, they could be on even more of a winning streak.
Mm-hmm. I got to go. I'm going to try not to go on a rant because I know I look stupid when I do. But when Dan talks about hopefully this is going to be a turning point for the positive, I want to believe that too. But and then again, I'm seeing in the chat room people talking about, there's some talent on this roster. There is. And all that is true. But the bigger picture tells me that we have a safety who doesn't want to tackle, and he's never going to tackle again. He's got to go. His cohort, the other safety, he's got to go too. He's drifted around the league for a long time. So we don't really have 2 starting safeties. Deion Bush is now hurt for the season. DeAndre Houston plays well, but he's not a starting safety. He's a dime defensive back. He makes plays when he's out there with a bunch of other defensive backs. So that's one problem. Another problem is the aging defenders. Akeem Hicks, I don't know if he's going to play another game. Khalil Mack, he could never play another game because he's always banged up. We know what happens with Khalil Mack. We saw Robert Quinn last year, disappeared for 16 games. So I'm worried about those aging players. And then on the offense, we know the problems on the offense. As long as Matt Nagy is anywhere within farting sound distance, it's fucked up. It's going to smell. It's going to be awful. So this team is in disarray. They have transferred $30 million in salary into the future. So that's going to hurt with free agency acquisitions. You don't have a number 1 draft pick next season. You can't say that, okay, well, on the second round, Ryan Pace is going to make a great decision. Well, Adam Shaheen, Exhibit A. So yes, he had 2 good, or hopefully 2 good draft picks in Cole Kmet and Jalen Johnson. I still have hope that Cole Kmet is going to be okay. But there's just so many fucking red flags that tell me we're in for a long haul of misery. I am so lucky. One of the rooms that Dan did not get a chance to see at when he came over to my house was my library. I've got about 1,000 books in there. I'm going to fucking be doing a lot of reading while the games are on because there's going to be nothing to look at on the screen.
Just to start Wheel of Time. 50.
There you go. How many pages is that book, John?
Over 1 million words.
Oh, my God. So, Dan, I hate to burst your bubble, but I'm going through a dark period right now in my life.
No, I agree with everything you're saying, but that all of that could be deduced to say that this is a reason to get rid of the coach and the general manager.
Right.
And I think, again, my thesis tonight is the catalyst of that can be this embarrassment that Rodgers has inflicted on the entire organization and the city and everyone associated with the Bears.
Now, yeah. So the thing today, PJ just says, I'm sorry to get that one off. We'll bring it back. PJ says this team is not attractive to future possible coaches and GMs.
I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with that either, PJ, because if you bring in a general manager and say, hey, I'm sorry, car's not running well. You got 4 flat tires. The engine needs an overhaul. The interior, oh my gosh, you got to really work on that interior. But it's all yours. If people love this car, fix it up and make it run.
And if you make it run, you're a king. You're a king if you make it run in the city.
Exactly. Here's a nice big fat paycheck to help you get it running and get your ass into thinking of what's your vision first. That's how I always start a conversation with anybody who is going to be coaching or a general manager. What's your vision for this team? And they better fucking talk about bringing back Bear football, hard-hitting, hard-nosed, innovative football. We fucking came up with the T formation. We came up with film to review plays. We came up with all of this shit that has helped make the NFL great. So it's Bear football, tackling, playing hard, playing clean but hard, innovation. and just a fucking fire-breathing attitude that's going to fire all of us up and give us real hope as opposed to the bullshit snake oil salesman hope that we've been fed the last 3-4 years.
I like it.
I quit. All right. Hey, I got to take a whiz, but I'm going to leave you, Dan, in good hands. John Santucci is here, and I know you guys are going to talk about, I don't know, sex, drugs, rock and roll.
Yeah, all of that.
All right. Take it over, guys.
There were, let's talk about the bright spots, Dan, because I expected you to come out here. I thought, man, Dan, the whole Aaron Rodgers, I own you stuff is going to either make Dan really depressed or make Dan really angry. And your reaction was like completely different. So, I mean, you're probably in the same space as I am. You've had enough of this Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace regime. You've seen enough. I was like that after the year 2. I wanted them all gone. So now it's really it's like torture for me watching these two guys mess everything up, But there were some bright spots. I mean, Khalil Herbert looks like a keeper, right? The kid ran hard. He was able to find the right hole, hit the hole hard, and really had some great moves, man. Just change of direction was really great. You love to see that. And the cornerbacks were okay. I mean, Devontae Adams didn't have that big of a day. Jalen Johnson, I thought, did an admirable job on him. The cornerbacks are okay. Maybe they've been helped by a good pass rush. The Bears have had one of the best pass rushes this season in the NFL. But like we said, the secondary, especially the safeties, God, the safeties are probably 2 of the worst in the NFL. And their attitude is shit. And PJ says that we don't have cap space, no draft picks, ugly contracts. But I mean, that could be, all those guys can be cut. And you could take a big hit 1 year. Yeah, we'll suck for 1 year and then start the cycle again. But that's how it's done in the NFL. That's the way. Look at Jacksonville. They have to bottom out. Now they've got Trevor Lawrence, high draft picks. Do they suck this year right now? Yeah. But you don't.
Fields can correct a lot of that shit with just his dynamic play. But no, we're not seeing it so much yet. But he started 4 games, so give him time.
Yeah, I agree. Fields is a bright spot. We've had talent at the quarterback position. We just didn't have coaching that could really take advantage of it. I mean, Cutler was a pretty good quarterback. He had a new coach every year, a new offensive coordinator every year, and we didn't build around him like we should have. So I don't know. I don't know why that is, why they didn't build a team around it, give him a good offensive line, give him time to throw and all that. But that's been a big problem with the people who are making Bears picks. I think Ryan Pace, Aldo was saying earlier, Ryan Pace is one of those guys that falls in love with these athletes, like guys that can jump straight out of a pool and land on the edge of the pool. I don't know if you remember Jerron Gilbert. That was his claim to fame, was that he could jump out of a pool, straight out of a pool. That doesn't have anything to do with football. Draft some football players, build the trenches. Bill Parcells used to say, you build a team by building the offensive and defensive lines. Ryan Pace.
He was a Phil Emery pick, though, wasn't he, to be fair?
Jerron Gilbert was Angelo.
I'm pretty sure it was Angelo, yeah.
Yeah, Jerry Angelo was the GM.
The current regime for him is what I'm saying.
After Jerry Angelo left, they've had like a series of weirdos at House Hall, like Phil Emery and Mark Trestman.
I should ask Greg Gabriel about Jerron Gilbert.
Hopefully. Yeah, that's right. Tell him, dude, she says, why did you guys pick a guy all he could do was jump out of a pool?
He might plunge me, so I'll be
I know.
What are you guys talking about? I'm eating my dessert, tres leches. You guys ever had tres leches?
Oh, the best.
Yeah. Man, so good.
I'd have to make it with keto friendly almond flour and
Yeah, I should be too, but I'm not.
fake sugar. But I did find a good fake sugar. If anybody has a product called Swerve, man, it's
really?
like keto friendly sweetener I use in my coffee and stuff. They got powdered regular sugar and brown sugar. It's funny. When I go to a restaurant, I've got this white bag of, my own sweetener for when I have my iced tea. It's like, here's Tucci's pulling out a bag of cocaine at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Dan, what's your favorite dessert? I didn't notice when we were eating together.
I don't know. I don't have one that's just favorite or something. I don't eat a lot of dessert.
My favorite's got to be it's almost sinful creme brulee.
Ooh.
It's like silky and rich and fatty. It's the best. Then you get fresh berries on top of that, sends it over the top.
Mm-hmm.
Caramelized sugar, ice, like a crack it like a glass on the top. That's like a genius.
Getting hungry, Dan?
No, I'm tired actually. I was just yawning. I had the mic off.
Well, when we called early show, I'm done too. I'm tired.
Someone here agrees with me about Swerve.
Hey.
Yeah, you never know. I'm telling you.
I've never heard
can't tell the difference, man. They sell it at Walmart and Hy-Vee, all the grocery stores. Yeah,
does it taste good?
It does, man. I can't tell the difference. I made an apple pie with a nut crust with like all pecans, so it would have like low carbs. I think the sugar has like maybe 2, 3, or 4 grams of carbs, depending on how many you'd ladle into your coffee or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good, man. Brown sugar in your coffee is nice.
You're gonna have to give it a try.
Yep.
Dan, want to pull the plug early? Because I'm tired too, man.
I mean, we can still talk TV and stuff if you like.
Is Dan gonna watch Dune on Thursday?
What is it?
Dune.
No.
Frank Herbert science fiction epic.
One at a time, guys.
Sorry.
Does Dan have? You have HBO Max, right?
I do. I have HBO on my TV, so I have Max.
Right. It's at the theaters, but it's also on HBO Max. That's the Denis Villeneuve science fiction epic. David Lynch made a movie in the 80s with Sting as the bad guy.
You never heard of that movie, Dan? The original Dune?
No. I am going to watch the Halloween sequel this weekend, though, in the theater.
Right. Looks good. Previews.
I'm sure I'll be disappointed. They always take my money, but I want to watch it.
Jamie Lee Curtis in that one too?
Yes.
Are you hoping to see Jamie Lee Curtis naked?
No.
Not anymore.
She was Trading Places. Trading Places.
Yeah, that's the motivation to have. Wasn't she naked in any of the Halloween movies?
No.
Wow, that's weird. Given it was a slasher film.
Yeah. Wasn't she born with sex organs of both male and female?
I don't believe that.
Really? Okay. Is that just an internet rumor?
Dan, what do you think?
You know who? Both sex organs, Dick Duran. No, I'm just kidding.
I kind of liked Dick Duran. I mean, he was entertaining to say the least. He was a player's coach. Players seemed to like him, but again, he was another defensive coach. The Bears just kept hiring these defensive guys. Wannstedt, Duran. They tried to get Dave McGinnis and Michael McCaskey F that up. But we're trying to hire these head coaches that are offensive. It just hasn't worked with Mark Trestman and Matt Nagy, and they're just bad.
Aldo and I talked about this a long time ago, probably a year ago. But what are your thoughts? Who do you think got more pussy, Mark Trestman or Dick Duran?
Dick Duran.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no question.
I bet Wani got a lot of ass. Wani seems like he'd use that mustache to his abilities going down. It seems like it would accentuate it.
Yeah,
Trestman strikes me as a guy who masturbates a lot. Real hairy knuckles, poor eyesight.
To me, he's like a guy that would be like afraid to go up and talk to a woman. Like Wannstedt, you can see he'll buy him enough beers to get him home and in the sack. And Dick Duran probably has this like dry sense of humor that chicks would fall for it and end up in the sack with him.
Yeah, I mean, Dick Duran played NFL. He's got an NFL body, so he's gonna get laid.
I bet he has a sneaky large penis for some reason.
First down penis, 10 yards.
He'd be like, wow, Dick Duran. No wonder they call you Dick.
So
His real name is Jerry.
Dan's chat room girlfriend is back, Aldo.
Oh, what's her name? Oh,
Ash Slashy. 1313.
Ashley. Halloween was bad. Oh, she saw the movie.
The new one? Okay.
Yeah, she says she is saying, don't go see Halloween, Dan. Come over to my house instead.
Oh.
Well, I'm going to go see the movie. Like I said, I'm an idiot. I like theatrical experiences.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been in the theater. I cannot wait to see a good movie in a movie theater sometime.
I'm going to go to Matrix 4 in the theater, too.
Oh, when's that coming out?
December?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think so. December 19, I think, something like that. But that's also on HBO Max, though, too, I think. HBO Max will have that one.
Are the Wachowskis in the production?
Yeah, I think so.
Sure.
Yeah, with the Lana and the other one.
The other one. What are the fall movies are you looking forward to?
Me or Dan?
Both of you guys.
I like to see The Last Duel. That's that Ridley Scott movie with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck wrote, and Matt Damon versus Adam Driver, based on a true story. That looks pretty good. I still haven't seen The Green Knight, though. I don't know. Did Dan see The Green Knight?
What is The Green Knight?
Oh, okay. It's a reimagining of the epic Arthurian poem, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight.
Yeah, that's not
director David Lowery. It's supposed to be really great. I haven't seen it, though.
I don't like films like I said, like Spartacus and just, shit like that. That's not my genre.
Everyone is always saying Dan loves Spartacus movies, gladiator movies.
Oh, okay. I wonder what's Dan Aguirre's favorite movie that he would watch, no matter where it is in the movie, and if it's on, he's going to keep the channel on it.
I've got several like that. It's kind of hard for me. I've mentioned one on the air before. I tried to get Aldo to watch Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Great movie.
JFK, the Oliver Stone film. The Oliver Stone film, The Doors. Oliver Stone film, Natural Born Killers. Oliver Stone film, Nixon. Let's see. True Romance, the Quentin Tarantino but Tony Scott directed film. Love True Romance. I love the film Heathers with Winona Ryder and Christian Slater. Fucking love Heathers. That's in my all-time top 5 easily.
Wow.
So these are films I've seen over and over and over, and of course Pulp Fiction, and I love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I love The Shining. I love The Shining sequel, Dr. Sleep.
I gotta watch that. I was watching. I don't know if you guys have ever seen or heard of Eli Roth's History of Horror. I forgot what cable channel it's in. It's now in season 3. I think each season has 8 episodes, and they dedicate a one hour to talking to filmmakers, actors, film buffs about horror movies, and they have different topics. And so the 3 that have come out this year are about psychics, about zombies, and the third horror topic. I forgot what it was, but it's just so well done. And Eli Roth, he gets great interviews. He's got Quentin Tarantino talking about horror movies. He's got actors who have been in the horror movies that they're talking about, and it's really well done. The interviews are all shot like they're in a horror movie, beautiful lighting and stuff. Eli Roth's History of Horror. I highly recommend it. Even my wife, who hates horror movies, sits through it and loves it because it's just great storytelling about these movies. They usually, talk in depth for about 4 or 5 movies. And anytime Quentin Tarantino is talking about movies, I'm listening because I love the way that guy talks about films.
Did you see he was on Joe Rogan? Quentin Tarantino was on Joe Rogan the other day, and it was like, I'm retiring, and I'm doing one last film. And, Tarantino was saying, Rogan had told him, "Hey, I think that sucks that you're retiring. You know, I'm depressed about it." And Quentin Tarantino goes, "Hey, if you look at the history of film, you know, directors don't get better as they age; they get worse. You know, so he's like, this is the time. My last film will be me going out, you know, before that happens." But yeah, Quentin Tarantino, he's kind of right though. His movies have kind of gone down as they've, you know, the high was probably Pulp Fiction. You know,
you think?
I think his last movie was great. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood
right?
Was fantastic.
I loved Hateful Eight too. I mean, it was a little overlost. I haven't watched the extended edition too, but that was an excellent movie too as well. But the thing about Hateful Eight is that it took place basically in one room for 4 hours, you know, but it was still a good movie. But Dan's getting a little beat up in the chat room, his favorite movies.
Aldo, I saw a horror movie last night that you probably seen. I had never watched on Turner Classic because it got dead at work. You know, I did an overtime shift last night, and it's from like '76 called Burnt Offerings.
Oh yeah, it scared the crap out of me when I was a kid with Oliver Reed.
Oh
yeah, the haunted house.
Aaron Black.
Yeah, Karen Black and Oliver Reed.
1976 horror. I gotta check that out. Did you see it on TCM, Aguirre?
Yeah, I watched it last night. I don't want to spoil it. Then I thought it'd be something you've seen before.
I don't remember seeing this.
You don't remember? Oliver Reed was the husband, and their house was like, you know, haunted, tormenting them. I think he was like, it paralyzed him. He was like watching his wife or daughter drown in the pool. Is that right, Dan? If I remember from when I was a kid.
It's his son, but yeah, and Betty Davis.
Son, right. Yeah, it was scary as hell when I was a kid. Of course, now I don't know if it holds up. But do you guys watch horror movies around Halloween? Is that like
I watch them all year round. I love horror movies. That's a great genre.
But I mean, like, it's extra horror movies, like more than usual around this time of year. No,
I would say, go ahead, Dan.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say I like horror movies all year round, but sure, if people that normally wouldn't watch them would dig some horror movies with me right now, then I'd be definitely on board. And of course, my birthday's Halloween as well. So to me, a good birthday, if I'm sitting around watching like 6-7 horror movies and getting laid, that's a great birthday.
Oh, wow. Like
what's the scariest movie of all time for you both?
Easily for me, the scariest film that I've ever watched is because I saw it as a family. We rented it on VHS when I was 4. So when you see something that young, again, it just the thing is, even at that young of an age, I could discern that Jason wasn't real or that Fred Krueger wasn't real. But that goddamn dog, that motherfucker's real. Cujo is the answer.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah, for me, it's either Alien, the first movie, which scared the fuck out of me. I saw it when I was 11 in 1979. And my uncle took me and my brother to see it. I don't think we slept for like a week after that. And then The Exorcist, you know, that was really scary when you're a kid.
Hey, Dan, people in the chat room want to know if you've ever had sex and the woman was wearing a Halloween mask.
No, that would be an idea. Like I saw a porn recently. I beat off to something about a week or two ago where the dude was like, you know, hammering some ass and he had the mask from Scream on in it. That would be kind of cool, you know, like maybe not me wearing the mask, but the lady wearing the mask would be kind of cool, you know.
Like what kind of a mask would you want her to wear if you could have a choice?
Maybe the Jane Fonda Barbarella mask.
The Jessica Rabbit mask, maybe.
I didn't like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I certainly wasn't attracted to that. If you want to go with animation, Kim Basinger in Cool World.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if people remember that film so much, but she was really hot in that. Like even as the Toon or whatever.
Tooch, you're more of a female Bugs Bunny kind of guy, right?
I mean Jessica Rabbit from Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
We already talked about that, Tooch. Where you been? No, but that is an idea. I'm gonna see if I can get my wife to wear a mask for Halloween.
Oh, Aldo, have you watched Impeachment yet?
No, and I probably, I don't know if I have got the time. I'm probably going to do a binge on bye week and watch it. It's funny because Entertainment Weekly came into my mailbox and the new issue that John Tuch worked on, and they're talking about impeachment in that issue. And I'm like, man, I keep forgetting to fucking catch up with this. So I'm going to probably binge it during the bye week.
It's on HBO Max, I think, isn't it? Or
no, it's isn't it a FX show?
It's on FX, and you can watch it on Hulu if you don't have FX. But I have one more show for you might find interesting. Again, I've talked about it before, but it's taken an interesting angle. The American Horror Story show that I've told you about on FX.
Yeah.
This season, the second part of the year, there's a guy that's playing Dwight Eisenhower that's so convincing that he looks like Eisenhower. There's a guy playing Nixon. There's a guy playing LBJ. There's a guy playing JFK. But mainly it's Nixon, Vice President Nixon, and President Eisenhower. And it's very convincing. And you'll like it because the guy that's playing Nixon, it's a caricature in a way that just makes him like a power-hungry, like just a piece of garbage. So you know, like that. But seriously, the guy that's playing Eisenhower is so convincing to me that he looks like he could be like David Eisenhower or something, his grandson.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's the casting is just immaculate.
What's the name of this again?
American Horror Story.
Horror Story.
It's called Double Feature. It's an anthology series, so every year they have a new like story.
Right. Yeah, I saw the first 2 seasons, which was
like
pretty
their
good.
9th or 10th season now. I think.
Yeah,
there's also American Horror Stories, which are like short stories of 1-episode stories.
This one is season 10. It's called Double Feature, and it's two different tales, if you will. But the second one focuses on that conspiracy theory that really there were aliens in what they call it, Area 51 or whatever. So within the context of that story, Eisenhower makes a treaty with the aliens, basically saying that you can kidnap X amount of people, study on them, and you give us a shit ton of technology so we can win the Cold War. But it's like they do it against like they kidnap his wife, that kind of stuff. So it's begrudging, but Nixon's all for it, like, oh, the technology will be better for us to have it than the Soviets, that kind of thing. But Eisenhower's more like, they're kidnapping Americans. I can't do this, but they take over his wife's body and like he's forced into it. But it's it's better than what I'm making it out to be. I don't know how it's going to end. The season finale's Tuesday. I may end up not liking the finale, but the performances of Johnson and Nixon and Eisenhower, I mean, Kennedy to a degree, the Eisenhower guy is brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
So for that historical thing, I think you would enjoy that. I do. And there's the Marilyn Monroe on there. It's set in the 50s and 60s, and it bounces around. It's nonlinear. It's fun, man.
Well, we're getting kind of a 50-50 in the chat room. Some people say, I'm going to stay away from it. Some people are like me. I'm going to give it a chance because I like stuff with politics on it. And I like the first 2 years of that series. So, by the way, Ashley says that, and I'm mispronouncing your name, so I apologize. She says she loves
Ash
horror.
Slashy.
Ash
Slashy.
Is that correct, Dan? You know her, right?
No. Not in real life. I mean,
she likes horror porn. That sounds like pretty cool, man. This girl sounds pretty cool.
Hold on, John. You can't talk over Dan.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Dan.
I'm sorry. I was saying that I met her. I haven't met her in real life, but she's from like Facebook dating or whatever.
Oh, okay. Well, I just wanted to look up some horror porn titles. What about movies like A Wet Dream on Elm Street? Or Scooby-Doo XXX. Evil Head.
That's good. Like if you were tied down and forced to like get it from someone that you're related to, or like someone that you just hate. Yes. That would be Evil Head. Like if you were tied down, and like Mike Holmgren comes in and starts sucking your dick. You're like, no.
That would be awful. Hand job cabin. The Sex Files. Yeah, I gotta check me some horror porn out. What else? Is there a horror movie on Halloween that is your go-to? Like around Christmas time when A Wonderful Life is on. I think that it's only on once a year now. NBC bought the rights to it. Hey, I want to watch it. I want to have a good little cry in that last minute of the movie when that little kid is saying, every time bells ring, an angel gets his wings, some shit like that. Great movie for Christmas. What about for Halloween? What's a great, Tooch, start with you. What's a great Halloween movie for you?
Oh boy. I guess the Nightmare Before Christmas. It's pretty classic.
Yeah.
Tim, no?
Yes.
Not a fan? Oh, okay.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of,
what about you, Dan? As Tooch is racking the brain here, I see the smoke coming out in between his ears. What about, do you have a classic horror movie that you like to rely on a Halloween night for some spooks?
Well, first off, I don't like A Nightmare Before Christmas. I know that's a sin, but I don't like a lot of animated shit. I love the first three A Nightmare on Elm Street films. Just the first three. I love the first two Halloween films. I watch all the subsequent sequels, and I'm always unhappy. I love the first two, and I love the first four Friday the 13th movies, so I can't really go wrong with those. But if you don't mind me telling you a small two maybe a minute story, one that sticks out to me so much, and it's not because the movie was so great. I told you this once in text. I don't know if it was a meaningless conversation and I was at work, so I don't know if it stood out to you, but a film that resonates with me so much, even to this day, the film's from 1989. It's Friday the 13th, Part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan. Again, just a poor it's just, I mean, I enjoy it for what it is. It's not Godfather 2. You know what I'm saying? But
sure.
It's okay for what it is, but I didn't get to see it until the summer of 90.
Mm-hmm.
And this is absolutely true. I'm not lying about this at all. So it comes on HBO that summer, and for whatever reason, like there was a closet in the room that, like, when you're a boy, you have your room, your bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And there was an old closet that had been shut up because my grandmother died when I was 3. And they put all of her shit in this closet, and like there was drawers over it. Like you couldn't even open it. It was like a time capsule. I had never been in there. And something happened, and there was a water leak, and it was in that closet. So that old fucking clothing smell got damp, and then it got hot. So that smell would just permeated. It was palpable in my room. It was just awful. And yeah, I had this fan on like 24/7 because you're trying anything you can do to get rid of that smell. So when I think of that movie, for some reason I instantly go back to that smell. It never leaves me. If I think about that movie, I think about that damp clothing smell and just how hot it was and how that fucking fan was on and it wasn't doing anything and that smell wouldn't go away. So that, like, I don't know what that means, but that film always conjures up that memory of that awful smell.
And this is Friday the 13th, Part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yes, because again, it came in the theater in 89, but I saw it when it first hit HBO in the summer or spring of 90, whenever all this went down for me.
And I got the trailer on now, which is just a single shot, and all of a sudden you see Jason turn around after he's staring at the skyline, and New Yorkers everywhere are running for their lives.
I mean, it's a poor sequel. Like, I wouldn't tell anybody, oh, this is the movie you have to watch. But as a boy, I liked it, so I still kind of like it today. It's like we had a show, remember in the off season, at some point we did a show about like guilty pleasures or movies that we know are bad, but we still like them. And we did a topic on that one night, one of our 5-hour shows. Maybe you don't even remember it, but this is good in that category. I know the movie's not very good, but I like it anyway.
By the way, Ashley Slashy says that she has evil head. And so what I, of course, want to ask is, you mean the movie or you? Maybe she'll respond to that. By the way, Brandy is in the house. Brandy, how are you, baby?
Did you ever see The Last House on the Left, the Wes Craven one?
Oh, absolutely. When I was a kid, I mean, that was one of the greatest marketing campaigns for a movie ever. It's just a movie. Keep repeating. It's just a movie. It's just a movie. It's just a movie. And so we're 13, 14 old kids. We snuck into an R-rated movie and loved it, man. We wouldn't fucking leave the theater. And we were there, 13, 14 years old. We were there with our bottle of wine, drinking Richards or Mad Dog 2020, watching this fucking really, really abominable movie that is so fucking, the way I remember it anyway, there's so much bloodletting in that movie. But it was a well-made movie.
I have 3 fun facts for you on that. A is the character, the main guy in it, his name is Krug, Krug. Wes Craven was so happy with that character that he, like in his mind, the monster in Nightmare on Elm Street had to be something associated with Krug. So Fred Krueger was born from Krug on The Last House on the Left. True story. Secondly, the guy, this ties into the quote-unquote evil head, which is the reason I brought this up. Remember at the end of their Last House on the Left, the one guy gets his cock bitten off when the mom was sucking his dick and just intensely biting it? Yeah. That's evil head. But the third point, the guy that she's biting his dick off, in reality, was a gay porn star. They found him in gay porn. See, I know this because of the bonus features on the Blu-ray or something. And he hated the film. He thought it was trash. And a couple of the other actors are like, why the fuck did he do it if he's not going to like the film? Fuck him. Yeah. So the guy that got his dick bitten off was in gay porn and just hated the film and thought it was immoral.
So Dan, what are some of your favorite gay porn titles?
I don't think I have any.
Well, let's look some up in the Google machine.
Your wife's going to be like, what the heck was my husband surfing on?
Yeah, really. Hey, go over this guy's history. Holy shit. What are you?
Is there something you want to tell me, Aldo?
The secret hard on. Tier Force One. Tier Force One's all right. Moby Dick.
The serpent in my asshole.
That's a Wes Craven movie, the original, I should say. Not the board title. Ashley says, what was the one? Ashley said something I wanted to share, but it's gotten away from me. Anyway.
Brandy's the one that's a connoisseur of gay porn. Ask Brandy.
Oh, Brandy, give me some porn titles we can have a laugh over. This is funny.
Brandy again loves interracial gay porn is what she told me. She loves specifically the black gentleman to be blowing the white gentleman.
Oh, wow. There you go. Is that something that you're into, John? Tooch?
I have not seen any.
You ever role play being a black man, Tooch?
No, that and hopefully that'll never turn up in any of my emails. Right? Blackface.
Oh, Lord. I'm glad the FCC is not listening in on this show. Gay porn, naked blowing.
See, that's probably not too far from the truth, though.
Eddie Jackoff. That's the gay porn with Eddie Jackson. We're probably going to get in trouble for making fun of gay porn, but it's fun. I don't know. Brandy has not. Oh, wait a minute. Brandy says, I don't watch full length movies. A nice 5-minute clip is all she needs of some good.
She's just breaking one off. I got it.
Yeah. You ever do that then? You just, I'm not going to spend 45 minutes watching porn and knock one out. I'm going to go for the quick 3-minute one.
The money
shot. Yeah, especially when I was younger, man. There was always movies that you were your go-to. Like when you got to keep the TV down because there's other people at home and shit, and you don't want anybody to know you're masturbating. So yeah, there were always films like when I was really young, like when Sharon Stone would show her fucking twat in Basic Instinct.
Yeah.
The tape would have all kinds of lines and shit in it at that moment because I was like, just beating off to that vagina. Demi Moore in About Last Night when Rob Lowe's fucking her in that montage.
Yes.
I used to beat off to that all the time as a kid. And then that Emmanuel 2, The Joys of a Woman.
Oh, love that.
Yeah, with Sylvia Crystal, and she's the friend's a virgin in it, and she talks. This is so like ahead of its time because everybody's poly now. So it's like she talks her friend into losing her virginity with her and her husband.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the husband's kissing her, and all of a sudden you see her big bush, and Sylvia Crystal goes down and starts eating it. Man, I'm sure I beat off to that like probably hundreds of times in the summer of 1994.
Wow. What's the most you've ever masturbated one day, Tooch?
I don't know, maybe 3 times when I had energy. Now I'm in my 50s. So it's like,
school like in like 8th, 9th grade, and nobody else was home, and you just turn the TV up and like not worry about. Oh my God! If I stayed home alone for an 8-hour period, guaranteed. If I'm 14. Guaranteed I beat it 6-7 times.
Wow. All right, everyone in the chat room, just say a number. Just write in a number. How many times? Most in one day. Men, women, all join in. Bare your soul along with Tooch, who says 3. And Dan, who says 8 or 9 on a good day when there was no school and nobody at home and the music was blasting loud. 8 or 9, right, Dan?
I was saying 6 or 7, but hey, 8 or 9, I'll take it. Yeah,
yeah,
man.
8 or 9 is what I was thinking about for myself. That has to be the most.
During the Wani days of Bears football, Wani was with us 93 through 98. That's 6 years. It's 5 years, but 6 seasons. During that era, there's the height of my testosterone, I would say. So my goodness, yeah. So during the Wani era, I was beating it like. An unsavory amount of masturbating.
PJ says that he has never, seriously, never beat off. Never.
He's missing out.
You are, PJ. Jeez.
When you masturbate, you're saying, I care about me.
Yeah. I mean, when I have sex with my wife and my girlfriends, I look out for their needs. Sometimes there's got to be time for me to look out for my needs. I'm going to be sleeping on the sofa tonight. Yeah, honey. All right. So we got a number. George says 6 times. So he's down there in your minor league level, Dan. No one's reached the majors. No, not that George.
Oh,
this is
wow.
George. Can you pronounce that, Tooch? George Silikas?
Silikas.
Yeah, that's like
Greek.
a poem name there, right?
That's Greek. It looks like it's Greek.
4,000 clovers, 8 or 9. God damn, you rubbed that raw. Oh, yeah. I thought he was talking about himself.
King Pookie Nation on this.
King Pookie Nation, give us a number. I know you were in the chat room earlier. So, yeah, we want to know. King's got those hands, those small, delicate hands that he could probably go a dozen times.
Hey, I got one for you. Have you ever beaten off? See, I'm right-handed. I've done this. I'm not making this up. I'm not trying to be funny. But there would be times where I would like beat it left-handed and close my eyes and pretend that it was like a girl beating me off. Because my left hand doesn't know what the fuck it's doing. I'm not ambidextrous at all. So it would take me a while. I'd start sweating. I'd get aggravated and stuff. But it felt like a legitimate girl was beating my dick.
Wow.
What about the stranger? You know the stranger, Dan? That's where you like cut off the circulation so your arm goes numb and then beat off. Give yourself a stranger.
Never heard that before, Tooch.
Well, I never did it. I heard of it, though.
Yeah, okay.
These people, these celebrities die where they choke themselves and they're beating, like the guy from NXS, the Carradine guy. I've never done any of that shit.
No, I see. I would have pictured you for putting a belt around your neck and, tying it as tight as possible.
Autoerotic asphyxiation.
And, did you say autoerotic asphyxiation?
Autoerotic asphyxiation. But there was an X-Files episode about that. If you ever with God, what's that guy's name? Peter Boyle. He won an Emmy for a guest appearance on the X-Files. So there was he described autoerotic asphyxiation without calling her. That was his get off. In the series, he was a reluctant psychic that could tell the future. I don't know how I do it. I just do it. It was like the killer asked him, "How do you know I'm a killer, and why do I do the things I do?" Peter Boyle said, "Because you're a homicidal maniac." That was it. It's a great episode. Great episode. And then Scully finds him with a sheet of plastic over his face. It's a condensation because he had masturbated himself to death.
David Carradine, Censored One, is asking. David Carradine died that way. He's not asking. He's telling us. Yeah,
right. Yeah, I said that Carradine guy.
Yep.
Yeah. So Carradine,
Michael Hutchins and David Carradine, right?
Yeah, those are the two. Haven't there been other ones? Wasn't there some other guy not too long ago, maybe 10 years ago? I don't know. Anyway,
Smart.
You had it up already. Aldo.
Hey, Dan, George wants to know: have you ever used a fleshlight?
No, I haven't, and I don't like to use lube. Lube is disgusting. I always just fucking beat it with my hand and let's go.
I'm the same way. Good and dry. Let's get this baby done with. I got 7 more to go.
It's so much gentler though with the lube. But I would like to try a fleshlight. Maybe someone in the chat room can send one my way.
Yeah, well, that's going to be in the merchandise store.
The Bears Bar. The Bears Bar merch shop, swag shop. There's Barnum Network flashlight.
Somebody about 20 minutes ago said this show's going off the rails. No, it's way fucking past off the rails. It's in the trash.
Went off the rails and crashed into the porno shop below.
Well, okay, I can understand now why PJ has never masturbated. He says he had a girlfriend and he did it 15 times in 3 hours. Now, this was in his early 20s, so he's down to about 12 or 11 times in 3 hours. But that's pretty good, PJ. Congratulations. You win the chat room of the day chat. The Stranger. Go ahead. Tell me more about the Stranger thing, because I've never fucking heard of that.
The Stranger is where you cut off the circulation so your arm goes numb. You like when you lay on your arm or something and you wake up and it's all numb. That's when you're supposed to beat off that. So it's like someone else is doing it to you.
Yeah, no. See, when my arm goes numb and I can't feel it, I fucking go into panic. I said, "Please, please." No fucking way. Am I thinking about jerking off? All right, I gotta go, man. I'm tired. You guys want to finish the show and
let's go out on a prediction. Is there any way?
All right, yeah.
Tampa Bay.
We'll get back to football.
Yeah, let's finish it off with football predictions. Go ahead, dude. You go first, and then Dan can close the show with his hopeful thought about the Bears. Go ahead, Tooch.
Well, I'll tell you right now that the Bears, like I don't know, someone in the chat room said the Bears' identity it was in your media presentation that the Bears' identity is to run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it's with Montgomery or Herbert, they're going to have a hard time running the ball against Vita Vea and Tampa Bay's, front four because they're the best at stopping the run. I tell you, if the Bears can't run the ball, I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to rely on Justin Fields to win the game for them. I just don't see it happening. I'd be rooting for the Bears, of course. Of course I will. But this game looks like 35-21 to me. Tampa Bay, but I'll be rooting for my Bears. If they pull it off, boy, it would be something.
Yeah, I agree. I'll go, and then Dan can finish up. Here's what I think. Yeah, realistically, they're gonna fucking get beat by the score that John said, but perhaps they can win if, like Dan said, this is a turning point, that they use this embarrassment that the team and the franchise is going through. They use it to come out with a fiery attitude, to go out on the road with the determination of really getting to Tom Brady. He gets rid of the ball quickly. He's rarely sacked because he's just a magician with that ball. But figuring out a way to get him, just like you did last year, you sacked his ass multiple times, do it again, and then figure out a way to maybe shift the running game, because the Bucs are so good against the run. So you're probably not going to have a lot of success. Shift that into a small passing game, a lot of screen passes, a lot of those flat passes and so forth, and then take a shot downfield, explosive plays. Every 6 or 7 snap, just test them. Maybe you can create some room for the running game and that short passing game if you hit on some of those poor passes, but deep passes. But the key thing here is that you got to at a certain point you got to tell Justin Fields, this is your game, man. You're going to win this game for us with your arm, and maybe this is the time that he can go out there and do it. And then my last key to victory is you tie up Matt Nagy, you tie his wrist together, and you put one of those like in Pulp Fiction, those balls in in his mouth so you can't hear him screaming and stuff. And you lock him up in the locker room and you keep him there at Hallis Hall. He's not even at Tampa Bay. And maybe then you got a chance to win this game. But something dramatic has to happen. And hell, if they lose, but they give a great effort, I'll at least take that. This is a great Bucs team. But I fucking hate to lose to Rodgers one week and then the next week lose to Brady. Oh, fuck. I might take the week off if that happens. Go ahead, Dan.
Didn't Brady say something negatively about Fields in the preseason too? About holding onto the ball?
Oh, yes.
So that's something else that they should use. I mean, I know he's Tom Brady and he can get away with almost anything because of all of his comments or all of his championships, rather. But that's going to be another thing of motivation. I could see this game either going, 45-10 Tampa Bay, or like in week 2 of 2000, we went down there and lost 41-0, which was dreadful. I could see that, or I could see the Bears getting a lot of turnovers and some sacks and frustrating them like they did last year. If they can be in the game late, they have a chance because Santos can make the kicks. At least I don't want to jinx them, but if they can just be in it the way they were last year, find a way, whether by turnovers or sacks or something, short fields, no pun intended, whatever you got to do to stay in the game. And then if you're in it, you can make some hay and get an upset. I probably would bet, if I had to, that they would be more likely to be 45-10. But I should point out that the lovely, sexy Miss Heidi Zimmerman, in a private message with me, I think on Monday, I can't remember what day, she has gone out on a limb and said that the Bears will beat Tampa this weekend.
Ooh, well, by the way, Ashley Slashy says that lube is fun. Who is lube?
I am not.
I was thinking, they should just stop giving Matt Nagy a paycheck. Maybe he'll go away, like in Office Space. Just stop paying him. That seems like a McCaskey thing to do. Maybe he'll just leave.
Isaiah Robles and I were commenting a little bit on DMs, and I'm actually starting to feel a little sorry for Matt Nagy. I mean, he's going to go out of town. He's going to leave town humiliated and defeated, much like Trestman was. I bet you that Trestman's experience here in Chicago really was a big blow to him professionally. He was probably depressed, and that same thing's going to happen to Nagy. And so who do you blame for this? You blame Ted Phillips and the people who hire these guys who don't know how to hire other people, and you're basically ruining their lives. Yeah, you're giving them a lot of money, but you're just hiring ineffective people, and sometimes money isn't enough for what it does to your reputation. You're thrown into a situation where you hate your job. I mean, you listen to Matt Nagy's recent press conferences. He's trying hard to have, chipper tone to him, but he knows the writing's on the wall.
No comment. Isn't that what he said recently? He said no comment
regarding the officiating.
Right.
What do you think? It's like, come on, take the $25,000 fine and stand up for your players.
Yeah. Cool. The thing is that the people in charge of the Bears hire people who are doing the job for the first time. Like Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace. I'd like to see him, find the best freaking executive that has done it for a while at a high level of success and hire that person as someone that knows what they're doing in this business, all the places where Ted and George don't know anything about. Have someone that knows the league, knows talent, knows the game of football, and then can sniff out the bullshit of coaches who are in over their head, or selling you a story like a shoe salesman, like they said, like a snake oil salesman. That's what's needed.
Exactly. Dan, where are you going to be performing? Vegas, Atlantic City? Tell your fans.
Dice Clay in Connecticut. I got one more question for you, for real. I keep reading about it, and I need to watch it. Now, maybe you have. Why is everybody on Dave Chappelle right now, saying that he went over the line? What did he say? Does anybody know?
I don't know.
Apparently, on his Netflix special, he created some controversy. I don't know what he said though.
He's got a new special and this happened just recently.
A new comedy special. Yeah,
created headlines this week.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like stand up, and he's he kind of rips on a lot of things. I haven't seen it yet. I've been meaning to watch it, but
yeah, I haven't seen.
He kind of went anti-woke.
I haven't seen him since his Saturday Night Live appearance, and I've missed his Netflix specials. But I did read an article about him just a couple of days ago that Netflix has this very secretive way of measuring audiences, and it's called like a black box or something. It's very secretive, and they don't release those numbers generally. But it did come out that Chappelle went against the gay mafia, trans people in particular. Well, that's not right. But his apparently Netflix has leaked out that his numbers aren't very good. That people start watching his comedy specials on Netflix and they start to tune out pretty quickly. They can measure at what point you start to lose your audience. Like we started losing our audience about an hour and a half ago. And then Netflix can measure that too. So he's, who knows? Maybe Netflix is feeling this pressure about what the cancel culture out there, and maybe they're trying to work their way out of the agreement they have with Dave Chappelle. Now, Chappelle, I know he has talked highly about the Netflix executives, that they allow him to do whatever he wants and blah blah blah. But maybe there's a separation coming soon to a theater near you.
They paid him $24 million too for that special, but some Netflix employee released the classified or confidential information that was fired for after the controversy of Chappelle. She released how much he made on this, how much Netflix paid him, and they didn't like that either. So I guess she got canned. So,
yeah. All right, Dan, any final words?
I hope that somehow we're back here next week and we're 4-3. This would be like, do you know how I'm making analogous to the Cleveland loss where it just felt like the world was falling, like the sky was falling. And then how different we felt simply by beating the Lions. Imagine that now, as low as we are because of this Packer, like this latest atrocity with Green Bay. But if you can beat the reigning, defending Super Bowl champions, then your whole season's suddenly looking up again. If you could beat San Francisco on my birthday, and then I guess Pittsburgh's after that. But if you come out of this with a win, you could save your season.
When we need saving. Final words are done. Go ahead, Tooch. Quick.
It's funny that in spite of how low we feel, we're still 3-3. But
yeah. Yeah, but the thing is, you beat 3 teams who are, not that good, and you lost to 3 teams that are considered good.
That's Matt Nagy. He's a 500 coach.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
I mean, no surprises. But as far as beating Tampa Bay, would I love to see it? Absolutely. But Tom Brady is playing at a very high level, man. He just picked apart the last team he played. I forget who they played last. He just sliced and diced him up.
What was that, Dan?
Maybe we can end his career.
There you go. That's the way you got to beat him. It's the Shane McClellan play. right?
You shouldn't say that. You should think it, but you shouldn't say it.
You should think it, but not say it. Exactly.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week on Dan and Aldo. Make sure you follow all the other great programming here at the Barroom Network and follow John Santucci at John Santucci VIP. He's the gambling man. He's got great tips for you. There is no Mike North Advantage this Thursday, so make sure you follow Tooch for your gambling advice, and make sure you support Dan Aguirre by going over to the Barroom Network swag shop and buying a Barroom Network hat. That way I can get Dan Aguirre a Christmas present.
Hey, don't forget the Bears game this week's a late kick.
It is a late kick. So Bear Football, our after game show, will be on late. I'll be thoroughly soused by then. Goodbye, everybody.
Be well, gentlemen.
Fuck you!